Of course, we have some delays at 7200 West in Magna, but it's going to get particularly heavy between the Bangalore Highway and I-215's West Belt. Andy?
If you're on I-15 or 215 going north, you've still got slowdowns on the east side, just between 33rd South and I-80. Foothills stacked up most of the way from the Parley's Way split to 1300 South. Southbound from I-15, Davis County to downtown, only a little bit slow at 600 North. Seeing cracked, curling, or missing shingles on your roof? Don't wait. Save big during S&S Roofing's huge summer sale. From a small repair to a full replacement, SNSRoofingUtah.com.
Today we'll get up to 98 degrees with a few clouds. Tomorrow 102 with more sunshine. 105 on Saturday. That's the hottest of the next 7. 103 on Sunday. Right now 77 downtown.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour.
Utah Fire Watch.
The Widemouth 2 fire has grown and now sits at 5,926 acres. It's now 15% contained. The U.S. Forest Service says the mild weather did help for a while, but high temperatures in the afternoon had it gaining strength again. Firefighters from all over the country came to Utah to help us out when we needed it most, and now Utahns are paying it forward. 4 members of the Salt Lake City Fire Department are headed to Oregon to help fight the more than 1 million acres burning. It's through the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, a national agreement allowing a state to formally request help from another state. A St. George man is behind bars after being accused of targeting children's belongings, staying in hotel rooms without paying, and causing thousands of dollars of damage. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis.
Youth camp chaperones called police after they say they saw Enrique Ibarra hanging around the same hotel hallway as the youth group. They say they saw him trying to steal a duffel bag. St. George News reports Ibarra fled the hotel and wasn't found until the next day. Camp staff later found several keys leading to rooms authorities now believe Ibarra illegally occupied and flooded.
Ibarra was discovered in a trailer police say he broke into and now could be facing several burglary charges. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The U.S. and Iran have been trading strikes with one another overnight. Jordan said it intercepted Iranian missiles, and Egypt says a drone hit one of their ports. All signs pointing to the possibility of more countries in the region joining the war. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 157. That's about 0.3%. We're at 51,751. Coming up, we've got a heat wave headed our way this weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
As we celebrate America 250, KSL presents Utah Cornerstones, honoring the businesses that built our past and continue to shape our future. Some things in Utah just keep growing stronger with time. What began as a family farm in West Layton, land worked by generations of the Stevenson family, grew into J&J Produce in 1970, serving the community from a simple covered Army barracks. Today, J&J Garden Center is Utah's largest producing nursery, with over 100 acres of locally grown trees, plants, flowers, and garden favorites. Through decades of growth, one thing has never changed: their commitment to quality, knowledge, and treating customers like family. Visit J&J Garden Center in Layton and discover why generations of Utah gardeners continue to grow with J&J. J&J Garden Center, rooted in Utah, growing for generations. Utah Cornerstones on KSL News Radio.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Hey, Doug, what is it that you do? 'Cause everybody's buying a car from you. Hey, Doug.
Doug Smith Chevy has earned the GM Mark of Excellence Award. Great service, great vehicles. Together, let's drive. Visit us in Spanish Fork today.
Hey, Doug. Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place
The ridgeline is imposing the escarpments, the drops.
where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain.
This is not good.
My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion and that of the sheriff is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
Just looking at a few residual slowdowns. Northbound I-15, a little slow at the south interchange, but then it really picks up at 3300 south, reaching up to 13th south. Eastbound I-80, you're seeing some pretty heavy delays reaching actually as you approach Kimball Junction all the way over to the US 40 turnoff. And northbound I-215's eastbound pretty heavy as you transition onto I-80 at the mouth of Parley's Canyon. From Beethoven's Ninth to icons like Idina Menzel, summer sounds better under the stars. Plan your visit today at DeerValleyMusicFestival.org. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be sunny with highs in the upper 90s. There is an extreme heat watch in effect this weekend, potentially reaching highs of 105 on Saturday. Right now it's sunny and 77 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, I'm alongside Jim Bennett for the fourth day in a row, and hopefully you have air conditioning.
We do.
Well, wonderful.
It went online last night. We went home, slept in our own bed, and it was just absolutely wonderful.
And little Puggle is doing okay.
He's doing just fine.
Great. Okay, well, good. So we're back to normal just as it's time to start wrapping up the week. But think about this. I don't know if you saw the picture of this, but a man is driving his truck down I-15. He's around milepost 50, I think sort of Cedar City area or just before that. And the truck gets hit by lightning. I mean, hits by lightning. I've never even heard of that. And if you've seen the pictures of the truck, you know that it had some pretty devastating impact.
Oh, gosh, it's just amazing. I mean, this guy's minding his own business, is not doing anything, and just all of a sudden hit by lightning. I drove a truck down I-80, was not hit by lightning, but was hydroplaning and spun off the road. And it was amazing to me just how clearly I thought in that moment. While it was happening, it was the clarity of thought was, okay, I need to control this thing. I need to do what I can. And then after you land, after it was over, that's when the wave of panic just sort of rushed over me. And I just was shaking with fear. But in the moment, I was entirely lucid.
And apparently he was too.
Yeah.
I mean, he did everything fine. He even managed to get the truck off the road, pulled it over, bailed out of the truck as it was igniting. The entire cab is burned. There's nothing. I mean, he clearly would have died if he'd have stayed in there. It's miraculous, though. The bed seems in great shape. I mean, somebody ought to go pick that up and put it on their Ford because it looks like it's in great shape. But, boy, this was a total 100% loss.
Yeah, well, if you go to KSL.com, you can see this picture, and you need to see the picture because it's just surreal. The bed is just, it's pristine. It's like you have two different trucks. You have this bed that maybe it's detachable, it's a transformer or something. But the front is completely melted and just completely lost, and the back is untouched.
I have to tell you just a brief story about me. You mentioned the hydroplaning situation. I've ridden motorcycles most of my life, well, since I was 15 years old, and my wife and I were on my Harley, and one of the one of the cogs in the transmission broke off while we were driving. I heard a thing go ping, and we're going 60 miles an hour, and the transmission locks. It completely locks. My rear wheel froze, 60 miles an hour, and we're on a full-on skid. And when I took my motorcycle safety course, they made you do that, made you lock your brake and so that you wouldn't fall. But I thought we're going down anyway, and it was dead silent. Obviously, as you're sliding down the road because the motor's not running anymore. And I just told my wife, we're going down. Just stay with me. We're going down. And we started fishtailing more and more and more and more. And the slower we got, the bigger the fishtail got. And at the same time, I'm trying to get it off the road because I know there are cars coming behind me. We're on I-89. I got it off the road. It came to a complete stop. Nobody was hurt. No, didn't go down. She jumped off that thing about as fast as you could and sat on the guardrail and said, I'm never riding a motorcycle again. So it was my miracle moment, but we ended up just riding it out. But, I mean, I thought that at that time it was probably, who knows how long we skidded. The skid mark was probably 100 yards long, maybe 5 seconds. It seemed like a long time just riding it out thinking, this is going to end badly. I don't know how, but it was a miracle that didn't. So anyway, I digress. But this man had the wherewithal, good for him, to get it off the road, get out of it. But it got me to thinking, okay, if I get hit by lightning on my truck, my car, whatever, and I get it off the road and I've got 5 seconds to get out before it ignites, what are you going to grab? What, if anything?
Yeah, I don't know that I would grab anything. I don't know that there's anything in there that would keep me in there long enough to just not bail as fast as I possibly could.
But I'm one of those people that just got to have my briefcase. You know what I mean? It's a backpack, but my cell phone, I'm going to grab whatever I can. Of course, you're going to get your kids, your dog, anything living out of it, obviously, as quickly. You would never do that, but I just thought, I think I'd grab my briefcase and run.
Well, not all of us carry briefcases. Yeah. We're not nearly as professional as you are, but it's just, looking at this story, it's just so wonderful that nobody was hurt, because then this becomes sort of a fascinating, fun story as opposed to a tragedy. This is just remarkable to be able to see the destructive power of lightning and look at that and not have to grieve any kind of human loss in this.
So what surprises me, Jim, is you don't think of lightning hitting a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't think about that. There's nothing that would, I mean, I guess lightning can hit anything, but it completely disabled the vehicle. Once the lightning hit it, it was out. He had no power steering, no power brakes, nothing. I mean, so he's trying to steer it. It's a full-size, looks like a half-ton pickup. He's trying to do anything he can to get off the road and get it stopped, but it's the motors. It's out. It's completely shot, and then the fire began, and it looks like he had no. According to the officer that was there, the truck got hit by lightning and went dead. So the guy had no power steering. He just pulled off the side of the road, and apparently it started smoking from under the dash. So he knew it was on fire. So smoke starts coming out under your dash. You're like, I think I'll get out of here now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, does it say that he took anything out with him?
It doesn't. It says he had a boatload of tools. I think he was a tow truck driver, but it looked like the bed was in perfect shape.
Yeah.
So if he had
tools in
the back, they're probably okay. But anything that was in the cab, I mean, it looks like it was just like almost level to the ground. I mean, there's not even a roof on it anymore. The seats look like they're destroyed. I mean, this was a fire like you couldn't imagine. And I guess you think about the motor compartment and all this stuff that's going on there and everything that's flammable. Gas and everything, you would expect the entire truck to be a loss, but it really stopped at the break between the cab and the bed. And luckily he gets out. Luckily he's off to the side of the road. No one's hurt. He's not hurt. No other motorists are hurt. But what would that have been like to see that as you're driving by? That thing would have been totally engulfed.
Oh, yeah. Well, you watch the movies, and in the movies, when a car turns over, it just like explodes instantly.
Yeah.
And that... The reality, obviously, is not the same here. But the fact that he had a certain amount of time between having the car disabled and having the car catch fire, I mean, that could be a movie in and of itself. I mean, that's beyond fiction.
it was a tow truck driver that was being quoted. The driver wasn't a tow truck driver, but he said that he had a bunch of expensive tools that he lost, so they must have been in the cab. But it was this tow truck driver that was there said, in 8 years of towing, I've never seen anything quite like this. And it's one of those things you have to look at the picture to appreciate what happened here, and you can even tell that it's a beautiful silver truck, Ford, and it from the bed back it's in perfect shape, but from the cab forward is a complete and total loss.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend, you really do need to look at this picture. It's very easy to find. If you just go to KSL.com, it's right there on the website, and this is something that you just don't see every day.
Yeah, right.
Crazy
weather.
Yeah. Well, speaking of crazy weather, are we on track to have the hottest summer on record in Utah? Coming up on Inside Sources, we'll chat with Matt Johnson about the data.
Hey, what if I told you that 4 weeks from now, that is 4 weeks from today, everything could feel different in your life? That is your energy, your weight, the way your clothes fit. That is what the Soda Dynamic Diet is built to do. And right now, speaking of 4 weeks, listeners of this show can get 4 weeks free if they call 866-800-SODA and mention KSL News Radio. So I hooked up with Soda back in April because I needed to lose a little weight, and I wasn't doing a very good job myself. I'd lost weight before. I actually wrestled in high school. I thought I could lose anything I wanted, but I just didn't. So I contacted Soda and said, give me some help. They hooked me up with a nutritionist. It was based solely on diet. I didn't want to take meds. I didn't want to take injections. I wanted to see if I could do it myself, and I did. The program worked for me. It was not a quick fix. I mean, it got me about 4 pounds a week, and it is a program that I intend to stay on for life. Even though I've been involved in it now for 4 weeks or 4 months, I've kept my weight off. Soda has been, for me, say it with me, state of the art.
One day, that's it. That's how long this offer lasts. So if you've been putting off new windows, today is the day to stop waiting. I'm Nate with Advanced Window Products. Today only, July 30th, we're taking $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, plus a free upgrade to our high-performance series. Foam-filled frames, low E366 glass with an I-89 coating, built for Utah's brutal summer heat. These windows also qualify for rebates up to $5.50 per square foot from Rocky Mountain Power and Dominion Energy. We manufacture, install, and back these windows for life with no middleman. That's a $200 value per window. Call Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, and a free upgrade to our high-performance series. If you need one more day, we'll take your call tomorrow, July 31st. But after that, this deal is gone for good. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100.
Are you a local business tired of juggling deliveries, managing drivers, or sending valuable employees across town? There's a better way. Pigeon Ship. For more than 10 years, Pigeon Ship has provided fast, reliable, same-day and next-day delivery services for businesses throughout Utah. Whether you need a few deliveries a day or hundreds, Pigeon Ship has the network, technology, and experience to get it done on time. Auto parts, plumbing supplies, electrical components, pharmacy deliveries, and more. Utah's most successful businesses trust Pigeon Ship to keep their operations moving. Stop the stress of hiring drivers. Stop pulling employees away from their real jobs. And stop worrying about whether your deliveries will arrive on time. Join the thousands of businesses that rely on Pigeon Ship every day for dependable local delivery solutions. Visit pigeonship.com today to schedule a call and see how quickly Pigeon Ship can streamline your delivery operations. Pigeon Ship. Avoid the trip. Pigeon Ship. That's pigeonship.com. pigeonship.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life.
Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
I think my biggest challenge was getting through to him to understand that love is real and you have goals in mind, you have things that want to happen, and I want to help you get there.
Sometimes people tend to shy away from wanting to adopt teenagers because they feel like they've lost so much, but there's still so much to gain.
Just knowing that there's just that other person that cares and loves me out there, it feels great. And they've done so much for me, and I can only be appreciative every single day for just having them in my life.
I think it's been the best decision because I gained a son, and he's the best son ever. If I was down and out, he'd be there.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah Heat. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
And it seems like Utah Heat special coverage is the topic every week that we have. And so we've got Matt Johnson, KSL meteorologist, in studio with us. Matt, thanks for joining us this morning. We just talked about a truck that got hit by lightning on I-15 down near Cedar City, and I'm just wondering, I've never heard of such a thing. How uncommon is it for a moving vehicle to get struck by lightning?
You know, I mean, it's already rare for lightning to strike a human. We already know that's quite rare. That's why there's jokes surrounding it, right?
Yeah, never getting hit twice.
Right. But for it to hit a moving target like a car, I mean, just a car alone is even more rare than a human getting struck. But for it to be moving, it also made it even more rare. But not only that, but it completely destroyed and burned the thing up. So pretty impressive stuff. The only thing that comes to mind is that he did mention that his tire blew out, and maybe some added friction with the roadway, maybe, and the rim of his car might have caused some kind of static electricity, or
Oh, you mean he mentioned that the tire blew before he got hit?
Right. Yes.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if maybe that might have, maybe caused a charge around the car, but I mean that's speculation. There's no deep science behind that.
Interesting. Well, listen. So it's been a hot summer. It's continuing to be a hot summer. Today it's supposed to get up into the 90s, but apparently we're getting north of 100 soon. What are we looking at in the next few days? Are we going to break 100?
Yeah, we've got triple digits starting tomorrow, 102, and then by Saturday 105. Remember, the all-time record high is now 109. It was 107 until about a week and a half ago when we hit that 109. So we're going to be up near that mark again, and triple digits should hold through at least Sunday. So about a 3 to 4 day stretch of triple digits to add to the list. I think we've got 10 or 11 days already on the summer where we've hit 100 or higher.
Oh my goodness! So is this the new normal? Should we expect this in summers to come?
I think so. I was kind of running through the numbers, and this will be interesting, especially if you've lived here for a few decades. In the 1950s, Salt Lake City averaged 3 days in the triples. Then we averaged 6 days in the triple digits in the 1960s, 70s, and even the 1990s. Now you get into the 2000s, we average 8 days in the triples, 2010s averaging 8, but so far it's 2026. We're about 6 years in. We're averaging 17.
Oh my goodness!
So it's gone from an average of 3 to 17 since the 1950s.
So it almost seems to be, I mean, even just in the last decade, it's almost doubled.
Right.
Because I remember, Matt, we used to have this contest that one of the local stations did that, when's it going to hit 100? What's going to be the first day that it'll hit 100? Because I remember some guy said you could break an egg on your car and you could cook an egg or something like that. It's not hot enough to do that yet. And some years it didn't hit. I mean, it was like the average, like you say, was 3 or 4, but some years it didn't. But now it seems to be the norm. So is this, do you think, the way of the future?
Yeah, I most definitely do. Simply because it's not just Salt Lake City right? There's a lot of speculation and a lot of argument around the fact that the air temperature gauge at the Salt Lake Airport is surrounded by concrete or gravel, and there's added radiation causing the extra heat. But the reality is, we're seeing this trend throughout many cities in Utah and throughout the entire United States. I mean, we just tied the all-time record warm low earlier this week. So it's not just daytime highs, it's overnight lows. And I would say the cherry on top with this conversation is, look at the winter we had. Lowest snow year ever in Salt Lake City and in our mountains. I mean, it was, pretty dismal, and that speaks to how warm things are, right? Because we did get storms, but it came in the form of a lot of rain and high elevation rain. And that's kind of the way things are trending, unfortunately.
Well, this might be a stupid question, but can you sort of explain the relationship between precipitation and heat? Because I know we're dealing with drought conditions, and it looks like we're going to be dealing with drought conditions for the foreseeable future.
Right.
But I'm just trying to figure out, how much does the heat limit precipitation, or does it? Or does it just mean the precipitation comes in the form of rain rather than the form of snow? And does the heat just mean that the drought is going to continue indefinitely?
That's a great question, and there's a lot of climate responses to the globe warming. One of them is, the warmer your atmosphere on average, the warmer the ambient temperature is around the globe, the more water vapor the atmosphere can hold. But of course, to the contrary, the warmer it is, the faster you evaporate. And so the correlation here is that we'll probably, as we already have seen, we'll probably see more heavy rain events. But then on the contrary, because we're having so much heat and so much warmth on average, the other response would be the Great Salt Lake, where we're continuing to dry it out. It's basically a puddle now. And so we've got these two extremes, right, where it's always hot, it's always warm. So when you're not getting rain, you're evaporating quickly. But when you do get rain, because the atmosphere is a lot warmer on average, your heavy rain events, or the potential for those to happen, goes up. So it's basically the question of which one will win over the other. And right now it almost feels like the warmth and evaporation is the winner. But to the contrary, like I mentioned, there's going to be pockets, a lot more heavy rain events. The potential for those to happen in the future is going up.
I have been watching the events in Europe, and I know that's a world away, but it seems to be the warmest, the continent that is warming at the highest level because of, I guess, the Arctic areas evaporating. But they're having temperatures there in Spain and France at 110, 111. I mean, higher than us. And those are countries that don't have air conditioning a lot because they just haven't had that problem. I mean, is that a phenomena that you would have expected for that part of the world?
Yeah, I mean, it is an effect that's carrying out throughout the world. And, I mean, I remember going to college up at the U and learning about climate change and some of the responses that we would see from the atmosphere, or feedback responses, they call it. And one of them is more wildfires, more heat, more long duration heat and more extreme heat. And so I'm not surprised, but I would say the rate at which things are escalating has, I think grabs the attention. And there's always the argument that it's a cyclical process, right? And that the globe has gone through this cycle over the last thousands, millions of years. But the reality is the question at hand is it being induced by humans? Is the extremity of is all these extremes being accentuated by fossil fuels, by emissions, greenhouse gases? Or is it a cycle? And, that's kind of the question I leave at hand with most viewers and listeners that I talk to, because if you're not careful, it gets political. But the reality is, on the science side, it's undeniable,
Yeah, and it's here to stay.
Well, I'm sorry, but from the science side, is there any reason for optimism? Do you have a silver lining in all of this?
30 seconds.
Yeah, it's a good question. I have had conversations with the chairman up at the U for the Atmospheric Sciences, Kevin Perry, and he says that there is, at least for here in Utah, precipitation will likely go up a little bit, actually. But that's not talking about snow. That's just precipitation.
Right.
So, silver lining.
Moisture, yeah. Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks for joining us this morning. And we'll look forward to another warmish weekend. Stay inside.
Yeah.
When we come back, the U.S. economy has slowed a little bit more than expected in the second quarter of 2026. The war in Iran is said to be largely to blame. But what does a slowing economy actually mean for us? The answer when we come back next.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour: the state agency that initially greenlit the proposed AI data center in Box Elder County says they're not going to take any more action on the project for the time being. A member of MIDA says they want to wait for a lawsuit over a proposed voter referendum regarding the project to play out before they issue permits or do anything else. Despite this, celebrity businessman Kevin O'Leary tells the Salt Lake Tribune his company is, quote, full steam ahead on the project. Signs in Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante national monuments are already being taken down, even though the Trump administration's reduction does not go into effect until September. Indigenous Utahns are reacting, planning to hold a rally to protect national monuments. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: Russia sent strikes to multiple Ukrainian cities overnight, killing at least 8 people. This comes as Ukrainian President Zelensky leaves Washington, asking President Trump for training and resources for his forces. ABC's Britt Clennett has more.
Those are systems that Kyiv says are vital to stop ballistic missiles, like we saw those used overnight, from happening and getting through. And we're seeing that happen again and again as Russia kind of changes tack to this strategy of long, sustained attacks rather than these short, sharp attacks we've seen previously. Now, Zelensky, he has repeatedly linked the protection of civilians directly to the supply of air defense missiles.
This latest attack was one of Russia's largest air assaults on Ukraine in weeks, with more than 280 attack drones and 70 missiles. Your money at this moment: the Dow is up 132 at this hour. That's 0.25%. We're at 51,726. Coming up, we've got extreme heat coming this weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potty? Also, yes. But it's Jane's savings, and if she wants to spend her time watching the digestive habits of the white-breasted nuthatch, we say you go, girl. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
When you see this in your kitchen,
The stainless steel fridge is covered in fingerprints.
you hear this.
Leslie, people are going to think you were raised in a barn or by wolves, or raised in a barn by wolves.
Fortunately, Wyman Stainless Steel 3-in-1 cleans, shines, and protects to give you the best shine. A spray and a wipe will have your fridge shining like a mirror.
Wow, my fridge looks brand new. Your fridge looks amazing, Leslie. Sorry, I was being a little dramatic earlier.
Your kitchen says a lot about you. Let it brag with Wyman.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877-CARS-4-KIDS to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now, or call 877-CARS-4-KIDS to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at uccu.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
No major accidents, but we do still have some freeway delays. Northbound I-15 slow from about 3300 south up to 13th south, though the volumes have decreased a little bit. Eastbound I-80, some light and scattered delays from about the quarry past Mountain Dell Golf Course and Reservoir. And then, of course, it is that right lane between, well, really starting in Kimball Junction now, reaching all the way over to the US 40 turnoff. That is slow on eastbound I-80. When things go wrong in Utah's backcountry, Search and Rescue answers the call. Trained volunteers who head into danger so you can come home safe. Support them at rescue.utah.gov. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be sunny with highs in the upper 90s. An extreme heat watch in effect this weekend with a high on Saturday of 105. Right now it's sunny and 77 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio. War in Iran.
Well, the war in Iran is ongoing and on and off again, but it seems to be quite on again. The U.S. Has struck Iran, and they've actually involved more and more countries. Iran has in that region, so the conflict is getting bigger and bigger, and the war is actually being blamed, at least in part, for a slowing U.S. economy. This morning, we got new data from the Feds showing that the economy slowed more than expected due to the war and to the inflation.
Well, yeah, and we've talked a lot about the roller coaster, the gas prices and oil prices that are going up and down, and we're looking at the Strait of Hormuz and all of those sorts of things. But is there more to the story? Because President Trump has said, for instance, that the Democrats invented the word affordability, which is just nonsense. But affordability seems to be top of mind for everybody, regardless of what your political party is.
Yeah, well, let's bring in an expert on this. We have Professor Jason Cotter, Assistant Professor of Finance at the Marriott School of Business at BYU. Professor Cotter, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me here.
We see some numbers that say this, that the economy grew at an annualized rate of 1.5% over the second quarter of this year that ended in June. That is a slowdown from the previous quarter, which was just over 2%. Are those, so people may not understand, including myself, are those disappointing numbers? Do we want those numbers to be bigger?
Those are disappointing numbers. Economists were expecting growth to be a bit higher than 1.5%, somewhere closer to 2%, a little under 2% maybe. So the numbers came in disappointing. It does mean the economy is growing more slowly than we had expected it to grow.
Well, so as a graduate of the Marriott School, it's fun to see somebody over there, but what kind of discussions are you having with students and all of these sorts of things, and what are you hearing with regard to how people are reacting to this sort of economic news?
Well, I think the persistent worry, both for students and people more broadly, is that things are just too expensive. Our students are worried about, will I ever be able to buy a house? Things are just so expensive, and am I ever going to be in a position to get ahead in that sort of way? And I think those worries are more broad throughout the entire economy. And news like we had today with the economy slowing down at the same time that prices continue to be quite high, make it very difficult for many families in America to make ends meet.
Professor Carter, when you talk about expensive, I'm going to pivot to the war and what's happening in Iran on a couple levels. One, oil prices have certainly gone up and will continue to go up as the war continues. They go down as we have these little ceasefires and whatnot. But closing the Strait of Hormuz has other effects on other commodities that come through there. Are those factors that we can say contribute to this slowing economy?
They are definitely contributing to it, and in two ways. One, closing the Strait of Hormuz, it shuts down an enormous amount of global shipping, which just makes it harder to get not only oil and gas, but all kinds of products throughout the world. That drives prices up in all kinds of different commodities. But also the uncertainty makes it hard. So if you're a business and you're trying to plan your future supply, it's really hard to know, will I be able to get anything through the Strait of Hormuz or will I not? That makes it harder for businesses to get stuff going, and that tends to reduce supply and drive up prices now. So both the uncertainty and the actual shutdown of the strait make it hard for businesses to operate.
Well, I'm looking at this ABC News story that's talking about all of this, and it said that a surge of AI spending accounted for roughly 2/3 of gross domestic product growth over the first half of 2025. So it sounds like AI right now is actually a positive, but I know that a number of economists are worried that it's going to increase unemployment and all of this sort of thing. And I'm wondering how much you think that figures into this.
Well, it's certainly true that AI is driving a lot of what growth we are seeing right now. Particularly the big tech companies are investing billions and billions of dollars into data centers, into AI chips. The unknown question that we all would like to understand better is, what's that going to do to the future labor markets? Will AI replace a bunch of jobs and leave us with high unemployment, or will AI complement workers and allow us to increase our productivity and produce even more? No one knows the answer to that. I tend to be an optimist. I think in the long term, AI will make us more productive as an economy, but there's likely to be a lot of transition costs as we learn what the new economy looks like and what skills we need to have to be successful in that.
Professor Carter, this might be a little bit of a compound question, so humor me for just a second here. But we have a new chairman of the Fed, and the president intentionally put him in place because he's been frustrated that interest rates have not come down. And I'm wondering, A, are interest rates going to come down? Do we have some indication from the Fed that that's going to happen? And B, does that number affect what we're talking about today in terms of economic growth?
Yeah, so let me start with the first part of your question. For sure, the administration, including the president, would like to have lower interest rates. And so the Fed finds itself in a bit of a predicament. The president would like lower interest rates, but with inflation and prices relatively high, it's hard to justify lowering interest rates. Chair Warsh is in this predicament right now. As your listeners might know, the Fed's decision yesterday to keep interest rates steady had 3 dissenting votes that wanted to raise interest rates. I think all indications are the Fed is more likely to raise interest rates over the coming months than it is to lower interest rates. So I would not anticipate having lower interest rates anytime very soon. Although, of course, that could change depending on what happens in the economy. Does that affect us? Of course it does. With interest rates being relatively high, that makes it hard to invest in many long-term projects. So from the household end, you can think of buying a house. So with interest rates high, mortgage rates are high, it's hard to afford a home. But that's true for a business as well. With interest rates high, it's hard to get loans, it's hard to build new factories and new plants and open new locations. And so higher interest rates do tend to put a little bit of a damper on economic growth. And that's likely to be the situation we deal with until we can get prices more under control.
Well, lower interest rates, though, in times of high inflation aren't going to give anybody any more buying power, though. I know it's politically popular, but the reality is if you lower interest rates when inflation keeps going up, you're not doing anybody any favors, are you?
That's exactly right. And exactly why the Fed is in a position where it's hard to lower interest rates right now. If you lower interest rates, that's going to encourage spending, which will put upward pressure on prices. When prices are already high, that only makes the situation even worse. And so you're in a bit of this catch-22 where you'd like economic growth, but you also want prices to come down. And unfortunately, that's a trade-off. You can't get both at the same time.
And is that part of the reason, Jason, that there was these dissenting votes that were actually sort of in favor maybe of increasing the interest rate?
That's exactly the reason. So, these dissenting votes come from members of the FOMC committee that are a little more worried about inflation than they are worried about slowing growth. And so they recognize that higher interest rates will likely lead to even slower growth, but they would prefer that as a way of trying to keep inflation in check. And so it's reasonable to have different perspectives about this. You might worry more about growth than inflation, but at the end of the day, you can't get both under control at the same time. You have to have a trade-off across these two dimensions.
Well, Professor Cotter, we're very grateful for you joining us. Thank you for all of that, and we appreciate your insight here.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Coming up next on Inside Sources, let's stick with the war in Iran and discuss this growing disconnect between the United States and Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sat down with ABC News to answer questions on Israel's goal in this fight, and we'll hear part of that after the break.
When it's hot like this, air conditioners struggle to keep up. Parts are under more stress, and sometimes those parts fail. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and no one helps more homeowners maintain and repair their air conditioners than Any Hour Services. As a matter of fact, last year, over 32,000 homeowners called Any Hour Services for help maintaining and repairing their systems. Any Hour Services has over 100 HVAC technicians to help with everything from maintenance, repair, to installing a new system. This summer, there'll be a lot of people told they need to replace their air conditioner, and they'll wonder, do I really need to? If you're told you need to replace your air conditioner and you still have questions, Any Hour Services can give you a second opinion and let you know what options are available. Maybe it just needs a little maintenance or a small repair. Maybe it does need to be replaced, but if you don't feel good about being told you need to replace your air conditioner, don't ignore those feelings. Call Any Hour Services for help with air conditioner maintenance, repair, or to schedule a free second opinion. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Did you know Utah State University is home to one of the nation's leading centers for disability research and advocacy? At the Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice, we work side by side with Utahns with disabilities, their families, and community partners to make our state more accessible and inclusive for everyone. Our researchers, educators, and advocates partner with family service providers and policymakers to create real, lasting change. We believe that everyone deserves a chance to live, learn, work, and play in our communities. From helping children reach their potential in early intervention programs, to building accessible technologies, to improving mental health and employment supports, our work touches every corner of the state. The Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice is the only disability-focused research center in the state of Utah. That means we're Utah's home for innovation, data-driven policy, and community solutions that make life better for people with disabilities. Find us at idrpp.usu.edu.
Is your AC running nonstop and your power bill still climbing? If your windows are original to the house, you're paying to cool the whole neighborhood. I'm Nate with Advanced Window Products. Today only, July 30th, we're taking $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, plus a free upgrade to our high-performance series. Foam-filled frames, low E366 glass with an I-89 coating, built for Utah's brutal summer heat. These windows also qualify for rebates up to $5.50 per square foot from Rocky Mountain Power and Dominion Energy. We manufacture, install, and back these windows for life with no middleman. That's a $200 value per window. Call Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, and a free upgrade to our high-performance series. If you need one more day, we'll take your call tomorrow, July 31st. But after that, this deal is gone for good. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8157. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-575-8157. That's 800-575-8157.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Inside Sources.
All right. Well, the United States and Iran have been trading strikes with one another again in the overnight hours. Jordan said it intercepted Iranian missiles, and Egypt says a drone hit happened at one of their ports.
You have to wonder what it is and how it helps Iran to bring other countries from the region into this, except that I guess they're hitting American bases in those other countries. You know, it's a difficult situation because I think we saw Saudi Arabian jets were part of the U.S. brigade that would hit Iran yesterday. At the same time that this was happening, the U.S. said it struck military targets in Iran. It just seems to continue. They're not just trading attacks, but the way world leaders are handling this is just causing too much conflict right now.
Well, over and over again, President Trump says that they're eager to make a deal, and we've seemed to have all of these deals and all of these, diplomatic solutions that are on the table, and yet Iran says they're not talking to us, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't quite see it the same way either.
Yeah, so ABC News' Lindsay Davis sat down with the Israeli Prime Minister, we're talking about Benjamin Netanyahu, for an interview, and he talked about how this is going to end and whether or not, he was just going to defer to Trump on this. Here's more about that from that interview.
Well, I hope so. I mean, he's got basically three options. One, to indeed succeed in making a deal. Two, to continue the blockade. Three, to take military action. Anything that will produce the end of Iran's nuclear program is what we want. That's our common goal. We talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. Anything that will reduce Iran's ability to have a nuclear weapon. Of course, Israel would be right in the crosshairs of that if there was one, and so they have a special interest in having that done.
Well, it's interesting that he's using the word reduce. Prior to the Iran war, we bombed different nuclear facilities in Iran, and President Trump said that their capacity to produce a nuclear weapon had been obliterated. And apparently it's non-obliterated now, and now they're not even using that kind of language. They're saying, okay, well, we just need to reduce that capacity.
Yeah, and as we talked a minute ago, the U.S. has resumed missile attacks on Iran, and some people have wondered whether that was at the request of Netanyahu. And ABC's Lindsay Davis did ask him straight up, did Trump's response come as a result of something you suggested?
Actually not. That's the caricature, the cartoon picture. That is not true. We actually analyzed all three possibilities, and I thought we did it in an open way between friends and allies, and it's his decision. It's his decision. I think the important thing is we have a common goal, and the common goal is to make sure that this regime that chants death to America, that has murdered and maimed over 40,000 of its own citizens, that is shooting at every country in sight, and that has wreaked havoc on the international economy, that it doesn't get nuclear weapons.
You said just yesterday that you think that diplomatic solution is unlikely. Why do you think that you all have such different assessments of the outcome here?
Well, I don't know if it's unlikely, but I'm skeptical about Iran's mode of operandus. I mean, the method of operating. They always lie, they always cheat, and they always play for time. Could that, with sufficient pressure, diplomatic, economic pressure, could that change? Give it a try.
Is your goal still regime change?
My goal is to make sure that Iran, with this regime, doesn't have nuclear weapons. And that's something that President Trump and I both agree on, because it would be a different world. They're different from other countries, other societies. They have no compunction at murdering their own. You've seen that. They have no compunction at pursuing the death of this great country or the elimination of my country. That's what they do.
Well, he's not taking the bait. He was asked several times, do you want a regime change? Do you want to be changed? And he keeps saying the same thing. I don't want him to have a nuclear weapon.
Right. It's really remarkable to watch how they've tempered their language here and are trying to temper expectations. Because when we first started bombing Iran in this latest conflict, President Trump went to Truth Social and talked about he was demanding that the people of Iran rise up and overthrow the regime, and there's no other option other than complete and unconditional surrender, and nobody's talking like that anymore.
I think it was a surprise because there was a lot going on in Iran with respect to dissidents, marches in the street, that type of thing, that were just being quashed, that were just being knocked out. I mean, to the point where people were being killed. And I think the administration felt that once you cut the head off the snake of Iran's leadership, that there would be some sort of citizen revolt, and that the people would, in fact, say, okay, this is our opportunity to put some democracy in place, to change what we're doing here. And it seems that went nowhere. And disappointing, I think, from everybody's perspective, but certainly a miscalculation on the part of the administration, although it made some sense at the time. You would have thought that maybe the Iranians were ready to do something on their own, but it just didn't happen at all.
Well, they may well be ready, but they are also terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a really oppressive regime, and you would have thought that we would have learned the lessons of the Iraq War, that in order to be able to actually overthrow a regime like this requires a massive commitment of time and treasure, and it doesn't necessarily hold, even if you're successful. And just bombing the country is not sufficient. And I don't know that the American people, and I don't think President Trump, have the stomach to put boots on the ground and make that kind of a commitment. And I don't think we want him to.
You know, there's also been some talk that Israel actually wants the war to continue. In fact, J.D. Vance, our vice president, made some claims that they're trying to undermine the United States when it comes to the war in Iran. And Prime Minister Netanyahu actually was asked about those claims as well in this interview that he had with ABC's Lindsay Davis.
Well, we're not actually. And I had a very good conversation with the vice president this morning, and I think we straightened that out, because we're not. That's not our policy. Individuals in our system can have their opinions, but government policy is dictated by me, and that's not our policy.
Palestinians in the West Bank, many of them say that they're at a breaking point because of increased violence. As you know, a number of Palestinian Americans have died in some of those clashes. Why can't your government prevent that from happening?
I think we have. I mean, look, there have been about 1,000 terrorist attempts from Palestinians in the territories against our civilians, men, women, children, families that drive along the roads, and they're machine gunned by these terrorists. So we've been able to prevent a lot of that. Sometimes they're hot-headed, basically juvenile delinquents, about 150 in number, that try to, I don't call it take the law into their own hands, because I think vigilantism is against the law, and we're taking action against them. But put it in proportion, the vast majority of the settler community, like 99.9%, are law-abiding citizens. We have to live in peace side by side. But we confront terror where we can, and I will certainly not tolerate vigilantism on our side. I don't.
He's a very interesting man and very well spoken. I mean, he's very tempered in his remarks and thinks things out really well, which is somewhat different than what our leader does. It's two different ways that they approach the same thing with the same sort of goal in mind. But it's just interesting the way he talks. Doesn't really, he sort of dodges some of the questions a little bit. And hey, I'm not telling the president what to do. It's entirely Trump's decision, and we're not trying to continue the war, and we don't want a regime change. We just want them out of nukes, and it's all Trump's decision. And he's very tempered.
Yes, and I think he's been thinking about this a whole lot longer than Donald Trump has.
Yeah.
By every indication, he has wanted some kind of confrontation with Iran through several administrations, not just through this one. And if there are a lot of people that have talked about how President Biden continually told him, no, I'm not going to do this, whereas President Trump said, yes, I will do this. And I think President Trump was deluded essentially into thinking that this could be done quickly and easily, the same way he always talks about the operation in Venezuela. He says, well, that only took one day. And so he's trying to compare quite a different situation, and I think it's very frustrating to him that it's not meeting his expectations.
Yeah, well, interesting. Well, enough of that. When we come back after the hour, I get to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk some legal issues, privacy versus security. We're going to talk about growth of flock cameras, automatic license plate readers, and the right to privacy in America. I get to talk about the Fourth Amendment. This will be fun. We're going to do that when we come back after this.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
KSL News Radio, I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour, fewer Utahns are working from home after record highs seen during the COVID-19 pandemic. Some groups are dropping off quicker than others. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Since 2021, the number of people in Utah working from home has decreased 5%, going from 20% to 15%. The Kim C. Gardner Policy Institute says this follows national trends. The groups here in Utah who have mainly stopped working from home include government workers, non-citizens, and Pacific Islanders, who saw the biggest decrease in work from home than any other group, going from a quarter working from home in 2021 to 10% in 2024.
People in Utah who are still working from home at a stable rate include those in the information industry, people who earn more than $75,000 a year, and those who are self-employed. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, the weekly job numbers are out.
2 weeks ago, applications for state jobless benefits plunged to 188,000, the lowest since 1969. Last week, initial claims rose 9,000 to a seasonally adjusted 197,000. That's slightly below the rise analysts were expecting, but the summertime numbers are often volatile as manufacturers idle their plants for maintenance and retooling.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow right now is up 318 points. That's about 0.6%. We're at 51,912. Coming up one day with pop-up storms, and then here comes the heat. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone stabbing a knife into your heel?
Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you, like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
This is Colin Keary from the New Millennium Group. Have you ever had a question for your financial advisor only to find out that the next available appointment is months away? At New Millennium Group, we believe that financial advice should never be limited to once-a-year review meetings. Life happens every single day. Markets change, retirement questions come up, family situations evolve, and when they do, you deserve answers. That's why we pride ourselves at the New Millennium Group on being accessible when our clients need us most. Whether you're wondering about your investments or a major life decision, our team is here to help provide guidance. We're not interested in being the firm you hear from once a year. We want to be your trusted resource throughout your entire retirement journey. If you're looking for a financial team that values relationships, communication, and responsiveness, we'd love to meet you. Give us a call today at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or visit us at utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. And here's Cormac Bone.
Got some light delays left over northbound I-15, just a little slow as you approach 13th South, but otherwise looking good on I-15. Where we have heavier troubles is eastbound I-80 as you approach Kimball Junction. That's because there's some construction on SR 224 as you get off in Kimball Junction, and that right lane stays very full from Kimball all the way over to the US 40 turnoff. Looking for a new ride? Doug Smith offers a great savings on new and used vehicles. Big selection, great prices, and great people. Visit us in American Fork, Spanish Fork, Linden, or at heydoug.net. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We have a 20% chance of a pop-up storm today, but then it dries out and gets extra hot. We hit 98 today, 102 Friday, 105 on Saturday. Right now, let's see what our current temperature is. We're at 81 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, I'm alongside Jim Bennett for the fourth day in a row. We're having a lot of fun. It's been a very interesting week. Hopefully you'll come back one more day because Holly's gone until Monday.
That's the plan so far.
Well, let's talk about some things that are going on with our law enforcement and our public privacy versus public safety issues. And as technology expands, of course, we have a lot of things that we're always talking about. We've talked about the ability that law enforcement has to access your cell phone records. And so this Brian Koberger case that he was the fellow that killed the 4 individuals up in Idaho University, and how he was tracked by his cell phone. Those are areas that we didn't even talk about years ago, Jim. It wasn't even part of the equation. Now we've got some other things going on in Salt Lake City, including something called a flock camera, and another thing we have called automatic license plate readers.
Yeah, and a lot of people are nervous about this. They're saying it's moving us closer and closer to a surveillance state. Is that just paranoia, or is there some legitimacy to that concern?
Maybe both. We also want to hear from our listeners. Do you think the growing number of surveillance cameras and license plate readers and things like that is putting us on a dangerous path? Text us at 57500 and we'll talk about that. But let me talk about the two things. Again, 57500 if you think we're getting a little bit too much government surveillance. So let me talk about the license plate readers, and then we'll talk about the flock cameras. Law enforcement has a program that allows them to just read license plates. In other words, in the old days, if a police officer wanted to check on a person's driver's or license plate, You could get behind a car. You could say this car's license plate is ABCD123. Call dispatch, and they'll run the plate. They'll say, okay, that car belongs to Jim Bennett. He hasn't paid his insurance. You might want to have a chat with him, or his plates are expired, or that car's stolen. Whatever. You can run that.
All three of those things are true.
All three are true, so be careful, and that's why you have that little blanket over your license plate.
That's right.
But anyway, but that required an effort by law enforcement. It required an effort by dispatch. It required an effort by Department of Motor Vehicles. Now you've got these automatic license plate readers, and they're just on all the time. So the cop car gets behind a car, and your license plate is going to pop up. And if there's something wrong, he or she doesn't have to ask. It's going to come up on his screen. Like, hey, this car's plates are expired. Sometimes you can just look at the plate and determine that. Or this car doesn't have insurance. Or this plate is supposed to be for a Ford pickup truck and it's on a Dodge car. You know what I mean? So you can learn things. They don't make Dodge cars anymore. But you can learn things about what to do. Oh, yeah, they do. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'm just thinking they make trucks. You can sort of learn things about a person without confronting them in a way you couldn't before. You can surveil a person without their being part of that. And so to me, I look at it as a Fourth Amendment issue. Is it a search? Kind of. Is it a seizure? Not really. Is it an intrusion? Absolutely. The flip side of that, Jim, is what is your expectation of privacy? So you, Jim Bennett, have a high expectation of privacy to every single thing that's in your home. Mm-hmm. And really, you have a lesser but still an expectation of privacy to everything that's in your car. Do you have an expectation of privacy to your license plate? I mean, it's publicly visible. And so that's how the government gets away with some of this. If you're out in the public and you're driving around and you're displaying your license plate, do you really have an expectation of privacy? Do you know what I mean? And so that's the question that people answer. And that we're asking ourselves right now is really, what is this expectation of privacy? And to what we talked about at the beginning, which I was hoping to get some text on, 57500, do we have is our expectation of privacy changed based on what's going on with surveillance and technology and that type of thing compared to where we were years ago?
Well, we have gotten a couple of texts in here. Somebody says that flock cameras are no good, very slippery slope. And Rick says it depends on what these systems are programmed to look for.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually a good point. When I was looking at this initially, I was reminded years ago they had what they called photocop.
Right, yeah.
Where they would just take a picture where there was no police officer on the scene. They would take a picture of you committing some kind of speeding offense or running a red light.
Almost always speeding, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that went too far. I didn't think that was appropriate law enforcement.
So did everybody else.
That's why
else.
You don't have those anymore. And that's why it doesn't have that anymore.
Right.
But the fact is, if a police officer is pulling you over, and there's your license plate, and this just allows them to access information that they could have accessed anyway, only it would take more effort to do that.
Right.
I personally don't see a problem with that. Should I see a problem with that?
No, and that's the issue, and I think that's what a lot of people are concerned about. We haven't even talked about the flock cameras yet. We're talking about the license plate readers, but let's talk about the flock cameras. They're all over the place. If you go on Flock, F-L-O-C-K, and you can find out there are these cameras on the side of the road that I guess are Flock, I think is the company or some name, but the city has them, and they're just running all the time. They're just operating. There's a little camera for cars that are going by and that type of thing. Again, what's your expectation of privacy? Can somebody videotape you when you're driving your car? Of course they can. If your neighbor wants to videotape you while they're driving your car, yes. Can they videotape something going on in your house? No, that's called eavesdropping, or peeping Tom, whatever you want to call it. You just don't get to do that. You don't if there's some intrusion to it, because you have an expectation of privacy to what you're doing in your house, even if it's just having dinner with your wife. You know what I mean? But driving in your car with your wife is a little different because there's Jim Bennett with his wife, and they're driving their car, driving from A to B. They went to Provo this weekend. You don't really have an expectation of privacy to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the question. The flip side, of course, is this, and I'm a defense attorney, so you'd expect that I'd be more on the flip side, but I also recognize technology. The flip side is this, that with technology, this intrusion into what was previously private is so much easier. The government can just set up cameras.
Yeah.
These flock cameras, and they can track your where you are. We didn't do that before. There was no reason to do that. Now it's easy. You just push a button. Where was Bennett's car in the last 2 days? And they can find that out. Or the license plate reader. You know, do you have insurance on your car right now? You know, that type of thing. Is there some reason we should pull this man over? Here's the problem we're running into, and I'm finally getting the point. Unfortunately, we've only got a minute left. Is what does this do? And I'm going to get pushback from this. Save me the hate mail. But what does this do for ICE? Does this give information for groups like, hey, this person is from another country? Not that they're here illegally, but they may not be a U.S. citizen. Does that give the government a greater ability to say, oh, I think I'm going to pull this person over? Should they be able to do that? I think a lot of people will say yes. I think a lot of people will say no. I'm not trying to take a position one way or the other. I'm just saying that that's one of the bigger pushes with this, is that, you know, Jim Bennett, who doesn't commit crime and who travels the speed limit,
as you know,
and who has his insurance in place, is one thing, but the person who's here maybe under some protected status or under some green card or something like that, they can be surveilled and they can be stopped because there may be some reason to think that they're not in the country legally, and it gives ICE much easier access to people that they wouldn't have before.
Yeah, that's certainly a lot to think about, and I think we're going to be talking about that for years to come. This next story is really a lot of fun. The new electric aircraft could speed up emergency responses in Utah's rural areas. Greg, as a ski patrol member, I'm sure you'll have plenty of thoughts on this one. Yep. So let's talk about it more. That's coming up next on Inside Sources.
One day, that's it. That's how long this offer lasts. So if you've been putting off new windows, today is the day to stop waiting. I'm Nate with Advanced Window Products. Today only, July 30th, we're taking $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, plus a free upgrade to our high-performance series. Foam-filled frames, low E366 glass with an I-89 coating, built for Utah's brutal summer heat. These windows also qualify for rebates up to $5.50 per square foot from Rocky Mountain Power and Dominion Energy. We manufacture, install, and back these windows for life with no middleman. That's a $200 value per window. Call Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, and a free upgrade to our high-performance series. If you need one more day, we'll take your call tomorrow, July 31st. But after that, this deal is gone for good. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100.
Join KSL and the movie show crew this Friday from 10 to 1 at Hale Center Theater in Sandy, 9900 South Monroe Street, hct.com, or hct.org, O-R-G.
Amanda, every business needs IT help, and sometimes you've got that guy who already works for your company who knows how to do this stuff, but sometimes you don't, or the guy who knows the IT stuff, that's not his actual job.
Right. So Les Olson IT they can be your 24/7 help desk. They can support your existing help desk. They can do advanced cybersecurity protection. Maybe just come and take a look. Are you subject to phishing or ransomware or other things? What are the cyber threats you're facing?
And you've got to make sure that your data is secure, so both cloud and data backup solutions, they can help you with that. Plus, everybody's got to use a computer. That's where hardware comes in, infrastructure support. You don't have to know all this stuff because Les Olson IT knows it.
And most of the time, they can help you fix whatever's going wrong remotely, just off your computer. Plus, of course, they have copiers and printers. They always will at the very best price.
Les Olson IT is your trusted local IT partner. They've been in business for 70 years, and they've got 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas.
Find out more at lesolson.com.
We wouldn't be celebrating America 250 if it wasn't for a strong foundation set by the framers. Hamilton built America's financial foundation on sound money, later embodied by the gold standard. But we abandoned that discipline in 1971 and have seen inflation erode the dollar's value. What's the foundation of your savings? Is it gold or something that can be devalued? Hi, it's Dr. Ron Paul, and I encourage you to speak with my friends at Birch Gold Group about diversifying an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Learn more by requesting a free info kit on gold IRAs. Just text the word SECURE to the number 989898. Let Birch Gold help you build your foundation with gold. Text the word SECURE to the number 989898. Text SECURE to 989898.
My summer plans are now double the fun with double points on gas and groceries with my Rewards Visa credit card from Cyprus Credit Union. Every time I fill up or buy groceries, I earn double points that I can redeem for cash back, gift cards, travel, and more. Make summer spending twice as rewarding. Visit cypruscu.com.
Cyprus Credit Union, your future is our future.
Equal opportunity lender.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Right now, JCW's has 15 bus and billboards depicting our delicious, mouthwatering hamburgers across I-15. We've also just learned that I-15 averages 15 fender benders a day. Probably a coincidence, but just in case, keep your eyes on the road. Here's what our burgers sound like. Now, with your hands at 10 and 2, safely turn into one of our 5 locations at American Fork, Lehigh, Provo, South Jordan, and Harriman. JCW's. Quality and a lot of it.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, you know, one of the problems you'll note from me, Jim, is when we have these legal segments and I invite comments, we never get to them because I talk my legal thing. And before we move on to this incredibly cool aircraft, I wanted you to just read a couple of our texters on the last segment, which was this whole right to privacy readers of license plates and the flock cameras.
Yeah, we got a number of texts. Most of them are pretty short. Somebody texted in and just said, "Don't drive illegally," which I think is pretty good advice.
Good advice.
Said, "I agree." This is again, we don't have a name here, but I agree with license plate readers to catch lawbreakers. Too many drivers don't obey laws and feel they don't apply to them. And Rick texted again. He said, "Welcome to the 21st century. Nearly impossible to get any privacy in America anymore." Janice says, sadly, she says, "I have no problem with it. My license plate is on full view all the time and a matter of public record. No expectancy of privacy. Sadly, ICE is the problem, not the technology."
Yeah.
And then we have somebody said, "So you love people running red lights, which they do all the time and kill people. Cameras might help. Just don't speed, and then you should not have a problem." I want it on record that I don't love people running red lights.
It's one of the things that drives me nuts in Utah. That's why we have this delay. Like, don't run red light. Don't even cut it close. That's a great text. I appreciate that. Well, let's move on, because talking about the future and technology, and this is something really interesting, and it could mean the difference between life and death for some people, and especially in the rural parts of our state. But a new electric aircraft, and it's sort of in the developmental stage right now, but it would provide speedy emergency response, and it could be in the air before you know it.
Well, you know, we've already seen drones that'll deliver packages to your house just hours after you order something. This kind of aircraft would help get first responders to the scene of rural or hard-to-reach emergencies a whole lot quicker. Now, Greg, you're a ski patrol guy, and I'm really interested in how you think this might help people on the slopes.
Okay, well, what we're talking about is this really cool electric aircraft, and I do want to talk about how it will affect things on the slopes. It's developed by this company. I'll think of it in just a second. Of course, I pulled up the wrong page. Oh, Jump Aero, AERO. They developed this aircraft, and it's the coolest thing if you can ever look at one. Go on the Jump Aero site. But it's a one-person aircraft, and it works by, it's very small. It's fixed wing. The person rides in it, of course. It's got 4 propellers, and the propellers can pivot so that you can actually fly it straight up and straight down. So you can land it like a hovercraft. You can land it like a helicopter. It's a fixed wing aircraft. So when it's flying as an airplane, it goes 200 miles an hour. So
wow.
The point is this: The theory is this: you can put a paramedic in it. Only one person can ride in it, so the paramedic also has to be a pilot.
So you can't rescue somebody.
You cannot rescue
fly somebody out.
Well, you can't. You can rescue them, but not pull them out. You're right. I'm being technical here. So it would allow a paramedic to fly to a scene of an emergency, land a craft, respond much quicker than it would take to get a Jeep rescue up there, or even a helicopter. It's electric, so you can just jump in and fire it up and go. But it's limited in that you've got to stay on the scene. The paramedic is there at the scene. Although I would say this from my ski patrol perspective, sometimes just having someone on scene with all the gear makes the difference between life and death. So I can understand this. The prototype is being looked at by Utah, and I think there's even some sort of a memorandum of understanding right now with our Department of Transportation, thinking, hey, this could be something in the future. I think they're around $2 million each. But the state, if they had some of these around, especially like when I got hurt in November in rural Utah, down in Wayne County, when I wrecked my bike, I mean, my wife had to come and literally rescue me in a four-wheel drive truck. We couldn't get anybody up there, but this aircraft could have gotten to me very quickly. Now, couldn't have got me out of there. You still had to wait for the truck, but at least somebody could have tended to me while I was sitting there being miserable. And I think that as I look at it from the ski perspective, boy, I can't imagine landing an aircraft on a ski slope. I mean, because it's ice, and
Right.
they're sloped. But the founder said you can land this in your driveway. So you don't need the typical pad that we have for a helicopter, which is, I don't even want to hazard a guess, but it's probably a 100-yard circle. This looks like it'd be in a 10-yard circle. You could land it pretty quickly. And most every ski resort or back area has at least some flat area that you could land on. So this has a lot of potential. And we're always talking about drones. Amazon can drop your packages off, and maybe they can have you served with papers for your divorce someday. Drop them off at your house. Sorry, but there's all kinds of things that these things could work. This one is dedicated to public safety. The pilot would be alone in the craft, but would have a lot of medical gear with him or her. But again, the pilot is a paramedic, so you'd have to have double duty of not only being a medic but also a pilot.
Well, I'm looking at a picture of it here, the Jump Aero Pulse, and it looks like a human-sized drone. I mean, when you talk about the propellers being able to shift and all that sort of thing, this looks exactly like what a drone would look like if you expanded it out to be able to fit a person inside of it.
Yeah, and it travels apparently at a speed of 288 miles an hour, meaning that they can get to a location of 31 miles in less than 8 minutes. Of course, you got to land too, and you got to take off. But they can get to you quite quickly. The thing is going to be this. Let's say that we do have these in service. You've still got to have a pilot paramedic at the ready. Maybe they just are at some of these hospitals and they can just jump in the craft and go. You've also got to find the individual. That's one of the problems we have on ski patrols. Hey, somebody's missing or they're hurt. Well, where are they? Well, they're down this hill where there's next to a tree. Like, okay, we'll be right there. And it's sometimes problematic. Although we do have search things where you can ping people's cell phones and things like that. We talked about that with one of our guests recently, and maybe that kind of thing could work. To me, I think this is very promising. I hope that the state does work on it. Whether it saves lives or gets people help quicker we'll learn. It does concern me a little bit. Although you'd have to have a huge craft to be able to load a person in it, because you couldn't just have one paramedic strap up a person and throw them on a craft anyway. So you'd have to have a crew of maybe 2, and then you've got the individual. So now you've got a 3-person craft, where right now it's very small, very light, and it's a 1-person craft. So I think the technology's there for some short-term life-saving efforts that I think could be very, 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 very beneficial. It just, maybe this is one step towards a bigger craft that could maybe get people out of a tough situation.
Yeah, well, so 10 years ago when my daughter was injured on the ski slopes, a paramedic just happened to be skiing. He wasn't on the ski patrol, but he was there on the scene right after my daughter had fallen, and that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So even if you can't fly them out, I mean, it would be wonderful if you could, but even the ability to be able to get a first responder there on scene so quickly and so easily, I think that's a huge step.
Yeah, I'm always amazed, and I guess I'm biased because I've been a patroller for 42 years, but and this isn't particular to any ski area that I work at, but ski patrol has gotten to the point now where you can have a shack where you've got all your medical gear, including sometimes one of those heart, they call them AED, give somebody a shock of their heart, give them oxygen. You can do all kinds of things, and it's always up at the top of the hill, so you always skiing it down. You're never having to hike, and we can get to people within seconds sometimes. Once you figure out who they are and what you're looking at, you can get medical gear there quickly. That's the ski industry's done a great job, but of course it's a huge industry. Now, biking, hiking, that type of thing, you're talking about a much broader area and much less coverage by medical personnel. So something like this, I think, is better for an outdoor environment where you don't have medics within a quarter mile of everybody that's skiing. You have a hospital or a facility that's within a couple miles, maybe 10, 20, 30 miles of a backcountry trail. Maybe you can get some people or resources to them quickly. So I think it's a cool idea.
No, I agree. You talk about Wayne County. I worked on a political campaign once where the only way they could get in was to Wayne County was to charter a private jet. I thought that's a lot of money to spend to get into Wayne County. But the idea that this thing can travel so quickly to get to these areas that are just so hard to get to, I think that's really exciting.
Right. We do have roads in Wayne County.
There are some roads there?
Many.
I wasn't sure.
Many roads. What are you talking about? Beautiful highways and a great, beautiful drive. I'm going to take it this weekend. Coming up on Inside Sources, I could have more fun with the law. Corey Richens and her defense team are trying to get a new trial and a new judge to go with it, but it's not really working out so far, and her conviction for killing her husband still stands. Updates and my legal analysis on what she's trying to do when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a Utah man is lucky to be alive today after his truck was struck by lightning while driving in southern Utah. Casey Pettis was driving on I-15 near Cedar City yesterday when he says he saw a big flash of light.
It didn't feel like I hit anything, but like my whole truck just got hit.
Pettis tells KSL it took him a second to realize what happened. Then just minutes after pulling his truck onto the shoulder, he says it went up in flames. The entire front end and the cab of the truck ended up melting away by the time crews got the fire out. Pettis says he's glad he's okay, but he's still in utter disbelief this happened at all. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, Washington, D.C. city leaders and other federal officials are finalizing their security plans for the Freedom 250 Grand Prix. It's an IndyCar race that will take place on the streets of the nation's capital. Secret Service Deputy Director Matthew Quinn says you will see a significant police presence during that race.
You're going to see a very high level of uniformed presence throughout the city and around this event. Secret Service agents, Secret Service police officers, MPD, U.S. Park Police, FBI, across the board, you're going to see a large uniform presence. You won't have to look far to get help.
Quinn also warned anyone thinking of flying a drone in and around the race area to not do that. Anyone caught flying a drone near the race will face penalties. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 425 now. That's 0.8%. We're at 52,020. Coming up, highs in the upper 90s today, and it gets warmer on the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
My friend Joey loves to use old familiar sayings.
You know what they say.
The problem is,
don't look at a gift horse because you can't make them drink.
He gets a lot of them mixed up.
People who live in glass houses.
Here it comes.
Shouldn't cry over spilt milk.
There are also a lot of sayings in the financial world, like, you'll pay lower taxes in retirement. But for many people, it's just not true. You may have done a great job saving in that 401k or IRA, but Uncle Sam is ready to grab a big portion of that money. The team at Galileo Wealth Management can help with strategies that you can start now to lower your tax bill in the future. More for you and less for Uncle Sam.
Or as they say, an apple a day is worth two in the bush.
Get the facts on your tax bill in retirement. Call Galileo Wealth today at 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online at GalileoWealth.com.
And remember, a stitch in time keeps the doctor away. It does, you know.
Meet Lee Platts, a renter whose possessions fill not only her apartment, but also the darkest corners of a mini storage unit. A land of both truth and fiction. Truth, everything inside is protected by Progressive. Fiction, one day Lee will fit into her clothes from senior year of high school. Renters, discover coverage for what you love and what you can't get rid of in Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
Well, there was a disabled vehicle southbound I-15 just before Center Street in Provo, but that quickly cleared off the road. No delays built up behind them. In fact, there's no slowdowns on I-15 between Ogden and Provo, both directions. Where it is slow, eastbound I-80 between Kimball Junction and the US 40 turnoff. That right lane a little more full later into the day because I think there's some construction getting off in Kimball Junction at SR 224, causing some extra congestion on I-80. We also do have some delays on Legacy northbound getting into Centerville approaching Parish Lane. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll get up to 98 today with a chance of a pop-up storm, and then we dry out and heat up. 102 tomorrow, 105 on Saturday, 103 on Sunday. Right now, it's sunny and 82 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
One of the stories that we've been following on the show, actually in the year plus that we've been going forward, is the trial involving Corey Richins. And I was thinking as the trial was starting, and the defense was arguing as the trial was starting, that she can't get a fair trial because everybody knows everything about the case. And then during the break, my co-host says what?
I had no idea. I hadn't heard about this. I asked, how did Corey Richins
case? You
kill
could
her
have been
husband?
on the jury. You would have been the perfect person. What's she accused of? What did she do? Well, she killed her husband by giving him a fentanyl-laced Moscow Mule, which is apparently some sort of a drink that includes something they drink in Moscow. It must have vodka or something. I don't know what it is. Sounds disgusting. But anyway, he died as a result of being fed a fentanyl-laced drink, and she... I can't believe I'm educating you about this, Jim, because it's been a little bit in the news. And then she was accused of his murder. It was a capital case, but it wasn't a death penalty case. They decided not to do that. They had a trial, and she was convicted. And then after the conviction, there was a sentencing, and she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. After the conviction, her attorneys filed a motion for a new trial and for a new judge. And what they said was this. And by the way, we haven't even got to the appeal part yet. They're still trying to get rid of the judge. They said that this judge was not fair to them during the trial, and they actually did a very thorough job of going through the number of objections that each side made, and they said, well, the state would make 10 objections and he would side with them 8 times, and the defense would make 10 objections and he'd side with them 2 times. And I'm just making these up, but basically they were saying that he was more favorable to the state. Now, I'll just say this as a defense attorney. Most of the time the judge does rule for the state because we do all the objecting. The defense does. We try to keep evidence limited and try to keep the rules very strictly followed where the state wants to open the doors and let as much in as possible. Judges are the gatekeepers and they try to do the right thing. So I don't think it's one of those score things where you're keeping track of who's winning the most objections because I'm not even going to comment, but it just seems like a lot of times the defense will make objections that are more because you're trying to preserve the record as a defense attorney. You've got to make every objection you can so that you can claim, hey, I should have won this objection. The state doesn't really appeal because if they lose, you have double jeopardy. You don't get to try it again anyway. Anyway, I'm getting into the weeds. So they felt that the judge was unfair. They felt that he should have been recused. And so what they do in that situation, the judge can't rule on the motion whether he was unfair. Judge, we think you were unfair. What do you think?
I'll look into it.
Yeah, I'll look right into it. So what he did was, and this was Judge Richard Mrazek, who's the district judge up there in the 3rd District in Summit County. Brilliant man. I've had cases in front of him myself as a defense attorney, and I've always thought he was incredibly fair to both sides. But he referred it to the presiding judge or the associate presiding judge of the 3rd District Court. And, of course, the 3rd District is the biggest district in the state. It has Summit, Salt Lake, and Tooele counties, so, it's a pretty good pool of judges. And they have a presiding judge who looks at that, and he or she, I don't even know who it was, looked at the case and said, I think that the judge was fair, and I'm not going to take him off the case, and we're not going to give you a new trial, so go run your appeal and take it to the Supreme Court, which is exactly what's happening. So it was a little unusual because I felt like they were really – you don't often see, Jim, appeals based on – you can say the judge was wrong or the judge should have let this evidence in and he didn't, or the judge should have suppressed this confession and he or she didn't. But you don't really see motions like this one, and it bothered me a little, that basically say this judge was just bad. He was just unfair, and he shouldn't have done what he did, because that's very personal. And I mean, judges have feelings too. I mean, we all do, but maybe you don't as a judge because people appeal all the time. But man, as I read that motion, I thought, that is so unfair. To me, looking from the outside, and I was involved in the case. I have no involvement at all. But at the time, I was the spokesperson, not attorney, but a spokesperson for the Eric Richins family, who's the victim in this case. You never heard about the case, but now you're learning all kinds of things.
I know everything now because
I
have the world's greatest expert on the case here sitting next to me.
I know it a little bit. So anyway, that part of the process ended just today or yesterday. The presiding judge said, no, we think that the judge who heard the case was fair, and we think that he did the right things in terms of him. He shouldn't have been disqualified, and if you have issues with something that happened at the trial, run him up the flagpole. By all means, do your appeal, but saying this judge was unfair isn't going to fly.
Well, if the judge really was unfair, and again, I'm not a legal expert, but wouldn't that be manifest in some of the decisions? Couldn't you point to a specific decision? Because you talk about how people say, well, the judge was wrong. The judge shouldn't have suppressed this confession or should have suppressed this confession. It sounds like they're not even pointing to specific kinds of decisions the judge made, other than just to say the overall temperament of the judge is suspect, and so we can't trust anything. Seems really nebulous.
Right, and that's basically what it was. Now, they did say sometimes he would cut the defense off and say, they'd be arguing, and he'd say, look, I've heard this. You don't need to keep arguing this. You lose. And sometimes even while they were arguing, he would say, time out. Get out of here. And he didn't do that as much to the state, according to them. They went through the record. When a trial goes, it's all being transcribed, or at least videotaped or audio taped. And so they went through and had it all, and they looked at the objections, and they saw how quickly the judge would cut the defense off and didn't do it to the state. But that may be particular to what was being argued by the defense. I mean, sometimes a judge will say, look, I appreciate what you're doing, but you lose. I mean, I don't need you to argue it anymore. I've had judges tell me that. Scortis, come on.
Yeah.
Tell somebody who cares. Let's move on with the trial. And it's what we do as defense attorneys. We try to make sure that the judges will really follow the rules of evidence strictly, and maybe they felt that he was a little too loosey-goosey with the state. This Supreme Court will have to look at that. But they did go through the record of the trial. They had specifics of him ruling and cutting them off and ruling in favor of the state more than them. And the Court of Appeals, the presiding judge who looked at the case said, effectively, I probably wouldn't have done anything differently. That's not what was said, but hey, I'm not going to take him off this case.
Well, the fact that he rules more in favor of the stronger case, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Right. If the evidence is there and the state has a better argument, you expect the judge to rule for the state. If the evidence should be suppressed and the defense has a better argument, you should be able to argue for the defense. But it's not a scorekeeping thing. It's not like who's right more than the other. Sometimes the state gets it wrong more. Sometimes the defense does. And it's really, the rules are here. The rules of evidence are to limit evidence that comes in, and a judge applies those rules when people make objections, and basically comes down to, was the ruling correct, not was the number of rulings for one side or the other a problem to look at.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. You need to point to a specific ruling and say that ruling is bad, rather than just say overall this judge just was not good.
Absolutely.
And that's Jim Bennett's legal opinion.
There you go. And now you know the case.
Yeah, now I know the case. Now I can comment on it.
There you go.
Well, next on Inside Sources, coming soon to a movie theater near you, Artificial Intelligence, the first AI-generated feature film, is set to hit cinemas this fall. Let's get some insights and commentary on this movie from our own in-house movie expert next.
Hey, summer's not over yet. We're still in July, which means you have at least 4 weeks to get yourself looking the way you want to look, to get your swimsuit, to get your summer clothes, to get things that you maybe have thought about doing when summer started. By all means, it's not over. Where can you be in 4 weeks? You can be your weight down, your clothes can fit better, your energy can be up if you contact Soda Dynamic Diet and Nutrition. Soda Diet and Nutrition.com. They'll put you on their dynamic diet. It's built to get you into that place where you want to be in 4 weeks. And right now, listeners of KSL News Radio can say, I listen to KSL News Radio and I want 4 weeks free, and you'll get it. 866-800-SODA. Mention this ad. I hooked up with them back in April, and I've had amazing results. I lost the weight that I needed to lose, almost exactly 30 pounds in 7 weeks. Seriously, over 4 pounds a week. And I've kept it off. No problem at all. Following their plan, their diet plan, and the nutritionist that they hooked me up with who said, here's what you need to do. And I followed it, and it worked well for me. It'll work well for you, too. Soda is great. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
There's nothing like getting outside, moving, and enjoying time with friends. Utah offers endless ways to get outdoors and stay active. Pickleball, hiking, biking, and more. Staying healthy is fun if you do it safely. Intermountain Health recommends taking time to stretch, warm up, stay hydrated, and pace yourself. These small steps keep activities safe and enjoyable for everyone. Because when you make health and safety part of every activity, you're taking care of what matters most: your life, your health.
Is your AC running nonstop and your power bill still climbing? If your windows are original to the house, you're paying to cool the whole neighborhood. I'm Nate with Advanced Window Products. Today only, July 30th, we're taking $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, plus a free upgrade to our high-performance series. Foam-filled frames, low E366 glass with an I-89 coating, built for Utah's brutal summer heat. These windows also qualify for rebates up to $5.50 per square foot from Rocky Mountain Power and Dominion Energy. We manufacture, install, and back these windows for life with no middleman. That's a $200 value per window. Call Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, and a free upgrade to our high-performance series. If you need one more day, we'll take your call tomorrow, July 31st. But after that, this deal is gone for good. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100.
Progressive knows you've got plenty of things to worry about.
What time does the kids' practice end? How long has that check engine light been on? Are takeout containers microwave safe?
So the last thing you should have to worry about is what to do if something unexpected happens on the road. That's why if you're ever in a major accident, Progressive's accident response can detect it and send help. It's just one less thing to worry about.
How long does chicken last in the fridge?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Your coffee would never get cold. Your flight would always be on time. And your mattress would always respond to you and your unique sleep needs. Sleep Number mattresses are designed to respond to your body and shift with your changing life, helping you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life's sleep.
Did you know Utah State University is home to one of the nation's leading centers for disability research and advocacy? At the Institute for Disability Research Policy and Practice, we work side by side with Utahns with disabilities, their families, and community partners to make our state more accessible and inclusive for everyone. Our researchers, educators, and advocates partner with family service providers and policymakers to create real, lasting change. We believe that everyone deserves a chance to live, learn, work, and play in our communities. From helping children reach their potential in early intervention programs, to building accessible technologies, to improving mental health and employment supports, our work touches every corner of the state. The Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice is the only disability-focused research center in the state of Utah. That means we're Utah's home for innovation, data-driven policy, and community solutions that make life better for people with disabilities. Find us at idrpp.usu.edu.
Inside Sources.
All right, so this is a really interesting subject for me, and I was talking in the break. I write songs, and they're kind of silly little songs, but I've never had studio recordings of them. But now AI not only allows me to make studio recordings that sound like they were professionally produced, it also allows me to make videos for these songs. And so I just think this technology is really a lot of fun, but I can see why Hollywood might not, because the country's first AI-generated film is set to debut on the silver screen this fall.
Now I'm singing Barry Manilow's I Write the Song.
There you go.
I can't get out of my head, Jim, so you've kind of messed me up here today. So we do have our resident movie expert, Andy Farnsworth, in studio. He's the co-host of the KSL Movie Show. Andy, what is this a real deal coming down that we may have an AI is it an entirely AI generated movie?
Well, it is and it isn't. It's AI generated, and all of the visuals are AI generated, but he has voice actors who have voiced the roles. He worked in the process. He didn't just type into his prompt, make me a movie like this, and then waited for it to come out. The way his name is Zach London, and he goes online by the screen name Gossip Goblin. It's sort of where he built a following through social, because he realized that he saw the ability for AI to be the tool that helps him become, as we were talking off air about writing the songs. The barrier of entry is coming down. I mean, you think about how social media made the barrier of entry for people to get video of themselves in front of other people down. You didn't have to go to school and then get hired by somebody so that you could go to a small market, so you could go to a bigger market. You could just put something out there, and whoever wanted to see it would see it, and then you got a lot of views or you didn't. So as the barrier of entry comes down, the people, for lack of a better term, the old guard, is going to be wary of this, because there's a lot, they've invested a lot to get the environment or the industry to where it is, and then to have it suddenly spin on them. Well, I mean, you can see why people would be leery of this. Now, there are a few specific objections to use of AI, and these were the ones, they actually had some Hollywood strikes over some of these principles. One of them is turning entry-level roles into automation. Now, you think about, I think about my first ever time on air was back in 1998, and I filled in on a traffic report on the old KCAT 102 station. Okay, the guy who was supposed to get there was delayed by a train that blocked his road.
That was your big moment.
It was my big moment, and I was horrible. But with practice and time, I got better. So everybody's got to have that entry point. I mean, Greg, your first cases, you argued, probably not as sharp as they are these days.
Exactly.
And so, or the first song that you wrote.
Yeah, well.
So automating those takes away an opportunity for people to develop that skill. So I understand why that would be a concern to the people who want to break into the business through that method. The replacement of background performance. And now we're going to start to get into what the fear of AI is for the current industry, one of which is there was ideas floated by the studios. Studios are always looking to reduce costs, and so they're going to try to find the cheapest way to do it possible. Well, that doesn't work for the people who actually wanted to do this for a living. And so, but the background actually is like, well, we want to just scan your likeness, and then we can just multiply it however we want. And you look like a good person that should be in the background. You make a crowd look average instead of everybody looking good.
If I had a dime for every time I've been told that.
Yeah. So there's the worry about that they would be used in perpetuity without any ongoing compensation. There is then the erosion of technical crafts. And then when you get to the big stuff, you said something about maybe Jimmy Stewart being in movies, even though he's long dead. That's the other issue is using actual recognizable likenesses. Like they could use me in the background and nobody would ever know it was me except for me and maybe 3 of my family members. But you use Jimmy Stewart, everybody knows. Some of the Hollywood actors, James Earl Jones famously signed away the rights to his voice and some like Matrix that he recorded a bunch of words into that now the computer can create him saying whatever he wants in the Darth Vader voice.
William Shatner's done the same thing.
Right.
Not just for his voice, but for his entire likeness.
And I believe that. And that actually kind of makes some sense. So what it's going to come down to, and I know I can't take forever on this, but is
go ahead.
What are we going to accept? This movie that we're talking about from Zach London is called Gods Don't Give Gifts, and it's not like 2 hours. I think it's like an hour and 20 minutes. But he made it with a full creative team, including designers and voice actors, and AI was only one part of the production process, but it did all of the visuals from it. It's kind of a futuristic sci-fi kind of a thing. So he says he likes it because it makes it look like he can shoot Hollywood level quality without it looking like it's shot in his basement. Even if it was made in his basement, it doesn't have to look that way. And so I think what we're going to end up with is coming to a point, because trying to stop technology is like trying to stand in a river and hold your hands out and hold it back. It's not going to happen. So you got to figure out, well, what are you willing to accept? Ultimately, we hold the power for anything commercial, because we either have to either buy it or we don't. We either support it or patronize it or we don't. And so if you don't patronize the stuff, what I would like to see, this is just my own personal opinion, I don't mind the use of AI. I am all for give more people the chance to make something. Makes it harder to choose because you got so much more to choose from. I mean, we long for the days of 5 channels where everybody watched the same thing and we had that thing in common. But that wasn't really great for lots of alternate voices or people who would love to tell their story but just have no way to do it. And so this gives people that opportunity. There is plenty of what they call AI slop, and you'll see that usually on social media. And London, he basically has said, I'm not saying that we should just create slop and say type sci-fi movie and have it generate something out the other end like a processed cube. But he just thinks that, why not embrace this technology and see what we can do with it? And honestly, if you're the first one there,
so
you could benefit from being the first one there.
As a burgeoning AI filmmaker myself, to vastly overstate my own capacity here, but when you're making a video like that, if you wanted to just type in, okay, make me a sci-fi epic, the longer you get, the more ridiculous and the lousier the output is. And so even for these little 3-minute videos that I make, it's a painstaking process because you can really only give a prompt for just a few seconds at best. You can't give a prompt even for a full minute, or otherwise.
Not until they build the data farm in Box Elder. Then you'll be able.
to. We will get to that point. And I think within years we'll get to a point where you can have a credible movie starring Jimmy Stewart and George Clooney, and it will look like they were really there. We're still a ways away from that, and of course all the rights would have to be worked out for that kind of thing. But that's the direction we're going, and there's no way to stop it, and we just need to figure out a way to do it responsibly, I think.
You're right. And then that has to go to each of us. So if the idea of Jimmy Stewart in a rom-com with Sydney Sweeney is offensive to you, or you don't like that idea, then the simple answer is you don't pay to go see it.
Right.
And you don't patronize it. That's the only real true power that each of us have when it comes to this particular thing of Hollywood. If you don't like the idea of AI, don't go see Gods Don't Give Gifts. If you love, let's see what it can do, go check it out. Earlier this year, we've had the breakout movies Obsession and to a lesser extent, I forgot the name of it, but it was one by the first one from the YouTube creator who made a movie, and he got noticed because of the YouTube stuff he made in a video game. And then we had Obsession, which was made on $1 million budget, and it's made like several $100 million. It's considered the most successful total dollar to cost to profit ratio. And Backrooms was another one. So there are these other voices out there that have these visions and these ideas, and this, it's like everything else. It's a tool. I got to convince my kid that the cell phone at the end of his arm is not his hand. It's a tool that goes in his hand. But it's a powerful tool.
Let me ask you this. We've only got about a minute left. And this is naive, but you know the movies. Is AI already appearing in movies? Are directors and producers already using AI?
Well, that's probably going to go down of what do you define AI as? Because technically you could say a computer that generates Toy Story. Yes, it's manipulated and it's commanded what to do, but it wasn't written by somebody's hand. I guess that's technically a little bit of AI. But if we're thinking of AI as coming up with the story and then animating it and choosing the shots and all of that kind of stuff, we're not quite there yet. And that's another thing, the other is AI has to learn from something.
Right.
And so AI companies that are taking copyrighted and licensed content to teach theirs how to make a Pixar-style movie or a Star Wars kind of movie, that gets into some other legal issues.
Yeah. Interesting.
What makes the ownership of the studios?
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
All
Thanks
right,
so
you guys
much.
are welcome.
Hey, we're going to have a deep dive into energy and a polling of Utahns, what they're willing to pay for more energy if it comes down to cleaner energy. What do you think? Text us at 57500 what you would pay for cleaner energy. We'll be right back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top national story this hour from ABC News. The confirmation of Todd Blanche to be the Attorney General is up in the air, due in large part to the anti-weaponization fund Blanche proposed that drew bipartisan criticism. Texas Senator John Cornyn, who lost a primary bid for re-election, told ABC's Jay O'Brien that he remains a no vote because Blanche hasn't officially and fully abandoned the compensation fund.
I know that Todd Blanche understands it, but I think he's probably getting some pushback from the White House, and that's making things more complicated than it needs to be.
The proposed anti-weaponization fund would have offered compensation to those who felt they were unfairly prosecuted by the Biden administration's Justice Department and could have included people who were charged with roles during the January 6th attack at the Capitol. In local news, fewer Utahns are working from home after record highs seen during the COVID-19 pandemic. Some groups are dropping off quicker than others. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Since 2021, the number of people in Utah working from home has decreased 5%, going from 20% to 15%. The Kim C. Gardner Policy Institute says this follows national trends. The groups here in Utah who have mainly stopped working from home include government workers, non-citizens, and Pacific Islanders, who saw the biggest decrease in work from home than any other group, going from a quarter working from home in 2021 to 10% in 2024.
People in Utah who are still working from home at a stable rate include those in the information industry, people who earn more than $75,000 a year, and those who are self-employed. Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got green across the board. The Dow Jones has jumped 571 points, that's 1.1%. The S&P 500, 107 points, 1.47%. And the NASDAQ has skyrocketed plus 625 points. That is over 2.5%. Coming up, get ready for a weekend warm-up. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 25% upfront bonus? And are they promising you up to 9% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. And if you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They aren't. That's up to $25,000 upfront or up to $9,000 per year on $100,000, guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Unlock your Trajan family office at TrajanWealth.com or call 1-855-TRAJAN-1. That's 1-855-TRAJAN-1.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. DBA in most states has Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry is the jewelry we never wear. It sits tucked away in a drawer. A ring from a grandmother, a pendant from years gone by. Pieces filled with stories, but not part of your everyday life. Duke's Jewelers believes those pieces deserve more. For over 75 years, Duke's Jewelers has helped families reimagine heirloom jewelry, transforming what once was into something you'll love wearing today and pass down tomorrow. Whether it's resetting a stone, redesigning a ring, or creating something entirely new, Duke's Jewelers will guide you through every step, right there in the store. And if you have jewelry that no longer fits your story, Duke's Jewelers also buys gold, offering a simple, transparent way to turn it into something meaningful again. Bring in what you have and create something you'll never want to take off. Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville, where your story continues.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank, and here's Cormac Bone.
Northbound I-15, we are seeing delays approaching 13th South. It's pretty heavy there. We may have a crash, perhaps debris in the road. That's slow from I-80 201 interchange up into Salt Lake. Eastbound I-80, the right lane still a little full between Kimball Junction and the US 40 turnoff, but has eased up quite a bit. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, the high is going to hit 98, and that's going to be our last two-digit day for a while, as highs remain in the hundreds until Monday, when it drops back to a little more modest 99 degrees. Right now, though, it's 84 degrees in Fair downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, I'm alongside Jim Bennett. And Jim, we're going to start this hour off with a little question and a kind of an unofficial poll. Our texters can set us their response, 57500. And the question is this: would you be willing to pay more for your energy, especially electricity, if you knew it was coming from a clean source? Would you pay more just because it was coming from a clean source? Text us yes or no at 57500.
So this poll, I think, is trying to follow up on a new poll from Utah State University that says that more than half of Utahns are willing to pay more on their power bills if it means supporting clean energy sources.
Yeah, so text us yes or no, 57500. Would you pay more for energy if it came from a clean source? For more on this particular story, here's KSL's Mike Anderson.
This is run by the folks at the Community and Natural Resources Institute, or CANRE, at USU, and they want policymakers to be better informed as they look at our energy future. But as some are saying, what people say doesn't always match up with what they'll pay. A cleaner energy future sounds great, but researchers at Utah State University wanted a clearer look at what that really means.
The Utah People and Environment poll is designed to get a better representative understanding of how Utahns feel about environmental issues.
Stacia Ryder, Associate Director at CANRE, says they had some encouraging findings.
We found an overwhelming majority of Utahns express a willingness to pay more for clean energy.
That's 56%, with 74% supporting solar, 64% for both wind and geothermal, 52% for nuclear. But some say when it comes to putting your money on the line,
I think talk is cheap, and that the truth of the matter is there's very few people who are actually willing to pay more for solar.
Representative Colin Jack says as Chief Operating Officer of Dixie Power, they launched SunSmart with the City of St. George in 2006. With the opportunity to buy into a community solar farm, only 25 people signed up.
We were both getting a lot of calls from residents, or in our case, members, saying that they were willing to pay more money for renewable energy.
A Rocky Mountain Power survey in 2014 found that 90% of respondents supported increased use of solar, with 75% saying they would consider subscribing to a community program. But when it came to the idea of that costing more money, that interest dropped to only 5%. And Ryder says that made a delay in some other metrics, like how much more people are willing to pay for those clean sources. We'll have a link to their complete findings at KSL.com.
So I don't know. That's an interesting question, and I'll give you my own answer in just a minute. But what are we getting any response from our listeners?
We are, and the yeses are coming in. We've got one absolutely not. And the rest are all yeses. And
they would be willing to pay more.
They would be willing to pay more
if it's a clean energy source.
Well, the thing about that, though, is I wonder how much the poll affects the responses. Because when you're talking to, I think it's much easier to say that to a pollster and look like I'm a responsible citizen,
right,
than it is to actually do it. I don't think these people are lying necessarily at all. I don't think they're lying. I think that when push comes to shove, though, I don't know that the numbers are that high.
And that's exactly what the legislator that Mike interviewed said. Talk is cheap, but very few people actually willing to put their money on the line. So let me just tell you my own personal story. Not that this is necessarily important, but it's relevant. We put solar panels on our house, and we put solar panels on our summer home down in Torrey. And we were told that it's a good financial thing, but we did the research and we learned that it's not. It's never going to pay for itself. And I know the solar company is going to send me some letters saying, "What are you talking about?" It may, I don't know, but it was something we chose to do. I have an electric car. My car is electric. My wife's car is electric. Our house is powered by solar, and so we don't pay anything for electrical, but we paid a boatload to put it all in. And we did the same thing for our summer home. And it's great. And it's great for a couple reasons. One, like your situation, you say your power went out. Our power never goes out. Mm-hmm. The Rocky Mountain calls and say, "Hey, we're going to shut your neighborhood down for a couple hours." Go for it. Because in addition to the solar panels, we put in batteries that harness the power, so that even when the sun's down or when the power's out, our house keeps running, and it can run for, I think, 48 hours with no source, in pitch black and no power. I think we can continue to run our house and power our cars and everything else we need to do. Now, you run the air conditioner and you have your cars, things can get dicey, but we did put our money where our mouth was. My wife did. I'm not sure it was a decision I would have made because it was expensive. And I, that's what you want to do, honey, that's fine. But it wasn't the best financial decision.
Well, we have an electric car as well, and it was a financial decision. So this wasn't about, oh, we want to be responsible citizens. It was, oh, my goodness, gas prices are where they are, and this electric car costs the same or less than a gas car. And we went, well, then we're going to go with the electric car. And we love it, and it's a great car, and it saved us a whole lot of money. Yeah. But I think as the technology changes and the economics make more sense, I think everybody will leap to these sorts of things. If it's not just an incentive to feel good about yourself and be a good person, then I don't know of anybody that would say, no, I'm going to keep paying higher prices for traditional stuff.
Here's where I got in trouble. I had court down in southern Utah. I had to go to a prison once in Pahrump, Nevada, and I was traveling and not that there aren't solar or charging stations between here and southern Utah or Pahrump, Nevada, but they take a while.
Yeah.
And it took longer. It actually cost me more in lost income and time and whatever to charge my car than if I just purchased the gas. So it wasn't as, you didn't save as much as you thought. In fact, right. You lost money. And in fact, we ended up buying a gas car just for these extended trips when we thought, hey, we got to get from point A to point B quicker than we have if we stopped and electric charged our cars every 200 miles.
Yeah, we've never tried to take this car outside the Salt Lake Valley.
Right.
I mean, it's great for tooling around town, but yeah, we have another car that uses gas if we ever want to go on a long road trip.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's what you do. You kind of have to make those decisions. I think it's an interesting poll, and I do appreciate what was said that, hey, is that really where you'd put your money? For me, I charge at home with my solar batteries. I come to KSL. They're very fair and generous with their employees. We have charging stations here. We charge for free. I mean, I go a month without spending a penny to fill up my car. Every once in a while, I'll take the gas car out just because. I have a pickup truck, and every once in a while you need to go to the lawn and garden center.
Well, I've got
your Tesla there.
My electric car sitting in the parking lot here. I should have plugged it in. I didn't realize there were charging stations here. Well, next on Inside Sources, President Trump says he may withdraw Todd Blanche's nomination to be the United States Attorney General, at least temporarily. Why has this been such an uphill battle? More on that after the break.
Emergency traffic brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Northbound I-15, we're seeing lanes coming to a stop. That starts at about 3300 South and reaches up to about 13th South. As far as we can tell, we can't quite see a crash or anything just yet, but it is definitely stopped lanes as you come through the Spaghetti Bowl. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
As we celebrate America 250, KSL presents Utah Cornerstones, honoring the businesses that built our past and continue to shape our future. Some things in Utah just keep growing stronger with time. What began as a family farm in West Layton, land worked by generations of the Stevenson family, grew into J&J Produce in 1970, serving the community from a simple covered Army barracks. Today, J&J Garden Center is Utah's largest producing nursery, with over 100 acres of locally grown trees, plants, flowers, and garden favorites. Through decades of growth, one thing has never changed: their commitment to quality, knowledge, and treating customers like family. Visit J&J Garden Center in Layton and discover why generations of Utah gardeners continue to grow with J&J. J&J Garden Center, rooted in Utah, growing for generations. Utah Cornerstones on KSL News Radio.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Guaranteed. Well, thanks to Xfinity, you don't have to worry about that part of your future now through August 24th. Get their best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats and finds and fixes issues before you even notice them. No annual contracts or commitments, no hidden fees, and the best equipment included. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi. Xfinity. Imagine that.
One day, that's it. That's how long this offer lasts. So if you've been putting off new windows, today is the day to stop waiting. I'm Nate with Advanced Window Products. Today only, July 30th, we're taking $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, plus a free upgrade to our high-performance series. Foam-filled frames, low E366 glass with an I-89 coating, built for Utah's brutal summer heat. These windows also qualify for rebates up to $5.50 per square foot from Rocky Mountain Power and Dominion Energy. We manufacture, install, and back these windows for life with no middleman. That's a $200 value per window. Call Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, and a free upgrade to our high-performance series. If you need one more day, we'll take your call tomorrow, July 31st. But after that, this deal is gone for good. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from big wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, as we follow confirmation hearings, there's been another day and maybe another hiccup in the confirmation process for Todd Blanche, who is the acting U.S. attorney, I believe, and he's in line to be the next U.S. attorney. President Trump is now hinting, Jim, that he may pull that nomination at least for the while.
I think it's interesting that two lame duck senators that aren't afraid of offending Donald Trump are the ones who are holding up the nomination.
Yeah, both Republicans.
Both Republicans. I mean, I think everybody sort of recognizes how problematic this nomination is, but most Republicans aren't willing to run afoul of the administration and of the president in order to say
ironically, do you know why they're lame duck?
Because they oppose Donald Trump.
And because Trump supported their primary opponent. So not only are they lame duck, but they're not very pleased with the president right now. And I think one of them even said that. And maybe that not apply to both of them, but I know there's at least one senator who's like, hey, man, you be careful what you ask for. Anyway, let's get an update on this confirmation process from News Nation Washington correspondent Tom Dempsey.
Here on Capitol Hill, the Senate Judiciary Committee was supposed to be voting on the confirmation of Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche to be the full-time Attorney General, but that meeting has since been postponed, and now that nomination of Blanche faces some serious questions moving forward. The two lawmakers to keep in mind with this: Republican Senator from North Carolina Thom Tillis and John Cornyn, the Republican Senator from Texas. They remain the two lawmakers to watch with, as both continue to want assurances from Blanche. Both lawmakers, by the way, will be leaving their Senate positions next year, with Tillis retiring and Cornyn losing in the Texas primary. In a statement announcing the nomination vote being postponed for now, Senator Chuck Grassley's team, he chairs the committee. They wrote, quote, "Chairman Grassley works to set President Trump's nominees up for success in committee, not failure. Senators Cornyn and Tillis want written assurances from the Department of Justice regarding the Trump IRS settlement." That's what this all revolves around. It's an over $1.7 billion settlement reached between President Trump and the IRS, setting up what's described as an anti-weaponization fund, which could be used to pay people who claimed to be wronged by the federal government. The fund stems from a lawsuit from the president against the IRS for the leaking of his records, but some lawmakers have raised a lot of concerns about this, saying it could be used to pay people like those charged in connection with January 6th. Both Cornyn and Tillis say their votes to move Blanche's nomination forward ride on the money being formally and permanently disbanded, and they want that in writing, which it appears they have not gotten yet. According to our partners at The Hill, Cornyn recently said to reporters, quote, "Maybe they think I'm just going to give up or go along, but they are mistaken." During his confirmation hearing, Blanche said that weaponization fund would not be happening. But again, Cornyn and Tillis want that in writing. And it's very important to note that a no vote from either one of them would be enough to sink the nomination of Blanche to be the full-time Attorney General. In Washington, D.C., I'm Tom Dempsey, News Nation.
So what do you think? I didn't realize it was that close. Even one of them can stop it. I thought they had a bigger majority than that in the Senate.
Well, I think they're talking about they could kill the nomination in committee, not necessarily on the floor.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to me. I thought that weaponization fund was dead, and apparently it is dead. But we also have to trust that it will stay dead. And I think that Senator Cornyn and Senator Tillis wisely don't trust this administration to keep it dead.
It would seem like that's an easy one for Trump to give in on, if that's what's holding this up, because nobody wants that weaponization fund. I mean, that was
Donald Trump does.
Yeah, but that was a terrible thing for Republicans. It was a terrible thing with midterms coming up. The public doesn't like it at all. I mean, roll over on that one, Trump, and get your guy in, because Blanche seems to be okay. I mean, his baggage, if there is any, he's certainly a very skilled lawyer, is he was Trump's personal lawyer. Well, I think people are concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's certainly more competent than Pam Bondi was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that there is much greater potential for corruption, as he still sort of considers himself President Trump's personal attorney, even as he's the acting attorney general.
Yeah, that kind of slipped out during one of his questions. Well, what do you think? Well, I'm his attorney.
Right.
Wait a minute, I used to be his attorney. But, we attorneys change gears and change hats, whatever. I was a prosecutor, then I became a defense attorney, and you hope that he will do what he thinks is right with the Department of Justice. The problem is of all the agencies, the Department of Justice is the one that we often think is the most independent and not beholden to the presidency, because really it is the prosecuting entity, and you don't expect the president to have his own prosecutor. Now, that's been different with this administration, but that's the problem that Pam Bondi ran into, is that she was making all her decisions based on what the president wanted and not necessarily what's in the best interest of public safety, which is what your lead prosecutor should be thinking about.
No, I remember during the Clinton administration, people forget the fact that Ken Starr was appointed by Attorney General Janet Reno, Clinton's Attorney General. There has always been this tradition that the Department of Justice has a certain degree of independence from the president, and Trump has just thrown all of that out the window completely.
Yeah, here's what Trump said on Truth Social this morning. Todd Blanche is a star, all caps, and everyone knows it. He has the potential to go down as one of the greatest attorney generals of all time. However, John Cronin of Texas and Tom Tillis of North Carolina, both of whom I refused to endorse and whose political careers have been ended by my action, are refusing to vote for this great nominee, who will remain in any event as acting. Remember, both Cornyn and Tillis voted for Merrick Garland and others, too numerous to mention. I have no objection to temporarily withdrawing Todd's name if they did not do the right thing and putting him back after Cornyn and Tillis are out of office. President Donald J. Trump.
Gosh.
He's spoken.
Well, so the fact that they voted for Merrick Garland, again, demonstrates how far afield we've gone from what's normal. Because when my father was in the Senate, what you did was you voted for whoever the president nominated unless there was some kind of egregious problem. You didn't oppose them on ideological grounds, and he said that doesn't make any sense because all that means is the president will nominate somebody else.
Right.
But you want the president to be able to have the people surrounding him that he wants, but you don't vote for them. You're not endorsing their ideology when you vote for them. You're endorsing their competence or their lack of corruption. And I think that's the problem here, at least from my perspective, is that Todd Blanche still does, I think, consider himself to be the president's personal lawyer, and I don't think you're going to see any degree of independence.
And just from my own experience, having been a prosecutor and a defense attorney, when I look back on the term of Merrick Garland as our attorney general, I have to say he was great. You know, in my lifetime as an attorney, he's probably been the most effective, most sort of stand-up attorney general we've had. Certainly people would disagree with me, and I think Blanche has the potential to do that. He's just got to get away from his alignment with the president and say, look, I'm my own person. I'll run this department. I'll do what I think is right. I have no desire to use this weaponization fund, and I will be my own person. It's just that's hard to do with the current administration.
Well, it's amazing in all of these confirmation hearings for any of Trump's nominees, the Congress people always ask, who won the 2020 election?
Yeah, that's the problem.
And none of the nominees will just give a straightforward answer.
And that's an easy one.
Well, of course it's an easy one, but it's also
6 years ago.
If he says, if you tell the truth on that, you're going to enrage the president.
Yeah.
So it demonstrates just how short a leash these nominees are being kept on.
Yeah. So rather than have a vote that he is certain to lose, because let's face it, nobody likes to lose, especially this president, he's going to pull the vote and say, I'm just going to withdraw the nomination. But he's still acting attorney general, so
this doesn't really change much.
Still there, and we'll wait until these two men are out. And he said they will, and they'll be. I'll put him back in once their careers are over, once they're done. But that's not going to be until, January.
Yeah.
And there may not be. Who knows where the Senate's going to be or where this committee's going to be? But it may be a Democratic-led. Who knows? We don't know. Certainly the House is almost certain to go to Democrats. The Senate is probably a push, a push. Who knows? But anyway, he may not have a better chance after they're gone than he does today.
No, that's true. President Trump is. I don't think he's thinking strategically. I don't know that President Trump is capable of thinking strategically. I think he acts on impulse.
Yeah. Well, and he wants his person in, and when he has his mind that he wants a certain thing, and he gets it. I got to hand it to him that way. He usually gets what he wants. When we come back on Inside Sources, the government is expanding the law for downwinders. You probably know a lot bit about that. And those people that were impacted by nuclear testing in the western United States, including here in Utah. We'll get the details about that in just a few minutes.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top local story this hour. A man says he is grateful to be alive and in shock after his truck was struck by lightning on I-15 near Cedar City.
And then a big flash of light, and then I was like, holy cow, I just got struck by lightning. And then my truck shut off, had to, kind of muscle it off the road.
Casey Pettis tells KSL it took him a second to realize what happened, and within 5 minutes of him getting out of the truck, it was completely engulfed in flames. Pettis says he's grateful he's okay, but he can't believe what happened. His truck was completely destroyed after catching fire, with everything in front of the truck bed completely melting away. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Several reports say President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu do not see eye to eye on what should be the focus of the Iran war. ABC's Lindsay Davis spoke with Netanyahu during his trip to Washington this week and asked him about the declining support for Israel among Americans.
I think there's been a change because of the proliferation of social media and the fact that sovereign countries have manipulated with bot farms and other things. And we can see a direct relationship between the proliferation of this social media and the decline in support for Israel.
Netanyahu denied trying to persuade President Trump to resume large-scale attacks on Iran. Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got green across the board. The Dow Jones is up 550 points, that's 1%. The S&P 500 is up 105 points, that's nearly 1.5%. And the NASDAQ has shot up at 624 points, that is over 2.5%. Coming up, break out that tanning bed. We're in for a hot and sunny weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Do you ever miss a segment of Inside Sources or want to rehear a conversation you particularly liked? Subscribe to the Inside Sources podcast. We upload each segment and the full show every weekday afternoon. Go to kslpodcast.com or follow us wherever you get your podcasts.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you can tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL, News Radio 1027.
And Doug. Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons, and lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen, and oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live, and you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
When you see this in your kitchen,
The stainless steel fridge is covered in fingerprints.
you hear this.
Leslie, people are going to think you were raised in a barn or by wolves, or raised in a barn by wolves.
Fortunately, Wyman Stainless Steel 3-in-1 cleans, shines, and protects to give you the best shine. A spray and a wipe will have your fridge shining like a mirror.
Wow, my fridge looks brand new. Your fridge looks amazing, Leslie. Sorry, I was being a little dramatic earlier.
Your kitchen says a lot about you. Let it brag with Wyman.
When you need a new water heater, you need it right now.
Yep, can't wait on that.
When you need a new furnace or a new air conditioner come the summertime, you need it right now. So Superior Water and Air has a wonderful program where they can help you with financing. If you need it, get it today and pay it off when you get your tax refund or just over time.
And that's one of the great things is they have multiple financing options. It's not just one, okay, you've got to do it this way. It's, you can wait till just after your tax refund. Well, what if you need no payments until later in the year?
Yeah.
They can work with you like that because, look, they want to help you get you back on your feet with the thing that doesn't work that you got to use.
Yeah.
And they'll just work with your situation. What a great way to do it.
I loved introducing you to my friends at Superior because they're just great people. And when you invite somebody into your home, you want to feel good about them.
Yeah, and they're so customer-centric. That was what really impressed me was they wanted to work with me and my family, whatever needs we might have.
Right. They want your home to be safe and clean. Superior Water and Air. Here's the number, 801-872-8483, or go to superiorwaterandair.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at uccu.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
Northbound I-15 still just a little slow after that major delay, starting at just about 3300 south, reaching up to 13th south. Much lighter now, though, after they opened up some lanes and let drivers get through easier. And then we got heads up for Utah County drivers starting tomorrow night, Friday night. The off-ramp from southbound I-15 to 2100 North will be closed over the weekend for some construction, as well as both directions of I-15 at Center Street. You won't be able to get off the freeway at Center Street in Orem this coming weekend for construction. Help maintain fun at Lagoon, now hiring full-time, year-round ride maintenance technicians and HVAC technicians. Apply at lagoonpark.com/jobs. Must be 18 or older. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's going to be sunny with highs in the upper 90s. There's an extreme heat watch in effect, though, this weekend, potentially reaching highs of up to 105. Right now, though, it's 84 degrees and fair downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, I'm alongside Jim Bennett today. And Jim, when you hear the term downwinders, you might only think of people living in southern Utah during the government's nuclear testing process several decades ago. But the government is actually expanding what qualifies now as a downwinder.
Yes. In fact, my father apparently qualifies as a downwinder, according to this new law. I was on tracks with an old friend. I bumped into somebody I hadn't seen in years. And they said, hey, does your mother know that she can get $100,000 for your father's passing?
It's helpful to know.
Yeah. And I went, what are you talking about? And explained the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, which apparently covers all of Utah and Idaho and New Mexico, parts of Nevada and Arizona, and eligible downwinders can receive a one-time $100,000 tax-free payment. And my mother just applied, sent her application a little more than a week ago.
Wow. Well, let's bring in our resident expert on this, Lois Collins, Deseret News reporter. Lois, what's going on? Was there some sort of expansion in the definition?
There was an expansion, and a lot of people don't know it because they figure that it was southern Utah only.
Yeah.
Which it was originally. And the payment, the compensation for it has doubled as well. It was originally southern Utah, $50,000. But people have a lot of different takes on this, and I think you have to realize that you had to be there in a specific period of time. You had to have lived there for a specific length of time, and you have to have specific cancers to qualify as a downwinder. And by the way, there's also some for the Manhattan Project in Missouri. And it covers uranium workers who have certain types of cancers or respiratory problems. But it's very specific as to which kinds of cancers. If you have prostate cancer, that's not counted. If you have bladder cancer, it is. If you have liver cancer, it counts, but only if there's no hint of cirrhosis or hepatitis B. So it's really specific. If someone had leukemia, it's only if they got leukemia after age 20. I'm not sure what that is. The period of time is you have to have lived in the affected area for a year, unless you were there for the whole month of July 1962. And I'm real curious, but I haven't figured out what happened in July of 1962. But the period is basically, unless you're in New Mexico, the period is basically 1951, January 7th, I think it is, to November 6th of 1962. You have to be able to document the disease as a qualified disease. You have to be able to document that you lived there for that whole year. And so there's a lot of paperwork involved. The expiration date is December 31st of next year, and that seems like a lot of time, but it takes a lot of time to gather the information, and you may not be able to gather all the information. You know, if you're gathering it for a parent who died 25 years ago, a lot of the medical records are not available. So it's going to be a lot of work for people to figure this out.
Well, my mother, it took her quite a lot of time, and she went back and forth with the hospital who wouldn't release the specific medical records. But my father passed away with pancreatic cancer, and that was on his death certificate. And so we're hoping that that's sufficient.
See, and if it's on the death certificate, that is apt to be, from what I've heard, it's apt to be sufficient. My mother-in-law died of bladder cancer. She lived in Arizona, just over the line in an uncovered area. But her husband died of brain cancer, same thing. So there's a lot of cancer, and there's reason to believe, and it's not me saying this. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be a doctor. It's the government saying that we did these tests. There was evidence even before we did these tests that people in especially some rural communities by the tests would be impacted, and we decided it was worth the risk because it was the Cold War, and we figured that we were going to be bombed by the Russians.
Lois, do we know what was behind this? This sort of came out of the blue for me. Why the government expanded this definition?
There's been a lot of work by a lot of advocates, and including some doctors and scientists who said, you're ignoring a whole bunch of people who should qualify for this, who were hurt just as equally. And there's good solid evidence of where the nuclear debris floated, where the clouds went, and it's been tracked. And they finally said, yes, we believe that we owe this.
Well, initially, my mother's thought, well, we don't qualify, or we shouldn't qualify. She was even reluctant. She says, well, I don't want to give anybody the impression that I think that Bob died because he was a downwinder. And we explained to her, look, this is the government who have given this.
They've acknowledged it.
And you've said, when you came in here, you were talking about how you'd be amazed at where these clouds of impact were.
There were some studies. There was one guy, and I did a story on this recently. You can look it up at Deseret.com and just look for RECA, R-E-C-A. But I did a story, and there's a map. This guy took the weather map, and he took the nuclear fallout information. He took all of it, and he only included on the map places where 3 debris clouds hovered over an area for a certain length of time. And it's everywhere. It's all over from Nevada eastward. It's over a big swath of the country. So there are a lot of people that think that this doesn't go far enough. The government did these tests, and it turned out that there were some problems from these tests, and they're acknowledging it.
So in Jim's case, he learns about it from somebody on the bus who says your mother may be eligible for this because of something that happened to your father. I mean, how are people being notified? Or are they just
people have to find out?
That's
so
what
it's
I mean.
A lot of it's word of mouth. There's a lot of information right now about downwinders. People are talking about it. People are telling their friends about it.
Right.
It is a real specific time period, and it's real specific locations that qualify you as a downwinder, and then you have to be able to document it. But documenting it, location is actually in some cases easier than you would think.
Yeah, that wasn't hard at all for us.
Yeah, church records. If you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they're being swamped right now with requests for church records. Newspaper articles could do it if they were like profiles, but you have to be able to bracket it. 2 ends. And when you and I were growing up, there were Polk directories that listed everybody's address, and you can go to the library. If you go to the library, you have to get somebody in the library to write a note certifying. They take copies of the pages, and then they have to write a note and say, I helped with this, and this is a true copy of what's in the Polk directory for 1961 and 1962, and here's the cover. Here's a picture of the cover, and so there are ways to do it.
Well, for Dad, he was the student body president at the University of Utah during the time frame.
So it's pretty easy to prove.
She sent in actually yearbook photos and documents, and we think that that's going to be sufficient.
Hopefully, the question is, was he gone during the summer break?
And he wasn't.
And hopefully, who knows how that will. I don't know how picky they're being right now.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, there are a lot of people who don't even know that maybe mom or dad died because of this. Yeah. And there's also a direct line of succession, like the spouse can qualify if someone died and was a downwinder. If the spouse is dead, then children would split the amount. It's not, so if you had 5 kids, it would be $20,000 each, and you have to document it. Yeah. There's a lot of paperwork involved. If you think you're a downwinder, my advice is get on it.
Yeah, helpful stuff, Lois. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, get on it, folks. In our last segment on today's Inside Sources, let's finish with some feel-good news out of the Davis School District, who got a pretty prestigious award in the district. Coming up next on Inside Sources.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and I've been a fan of Hale Center Theater from the very beginning. But there is something about this season that is just off the charts. Maybe it's due to the 3 stages now, which accommodate an amazing variety. Take, for example, showing right now on the Beehive stage, Thornton Wilder's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel and Tony Award-winning play is an absolute must-see. It's Our Town. This is a touching story focusing on 2 families in a small town, the sorrows, the joys, the reflections of lives well lived. And then, coming up, we've got Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. The music, the staging, the pure fun of it makes Joseph an all-time favorite. And in mid-August, it's Moriarty. This is the time for you to lock down your tickets for all of the wonderful productions at Hale Center Theater. And all you have to do is go to hct.org.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
And Doug.
Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons, and lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen, and oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live, and you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Is your AC running nonstop and your power bill still climbing? If your windows are original to the house, you're paying to cool the whole neighborhood. I'm Nate with Advanced Window Products. Today only, July 30th, we're taking $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, plus a free upgrade to our high-performance series. Foam-filled frames, low E366 glass with an I-89 coating, built for Utah's brutal summer heat. These windows also qualify for rebates up to $5.50 per square foot from Rocky Mountain Power and Dominion Energy. We manufacture, install, and back these windows for life with no middleman. That's a $200 value per window. Call Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. $3,000 off when you buy 10 or more windows, and a free upgrade to our high-performance series. If you need one more day, we'll take your call tomorrow, July 31st. But after that, this deal is gone for good. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. For over 25 years, Thanksgiving Point has been one of Utah's most beloved destinations, but its mission goes deeper than a fun day out. CEO McKay Christensen shares how they're making hands-on STEM learning accessible to every child in our state.
In Utah, 31% of kids from high-income households will go on to work in higher-paying STEM jobs, while only 7% of low-income kids will do the same. Closing that gap means hundreds of thousands of Utah's kids can lift themselves from the cycle of poverty. And to help, Thanksgiving Point conducts 200 STEM labs and programs each week across its museums and science centers. Our goal is to bring hands-on STEM learning to all of Utah's kids. That's why kids whose families receive SNAP or WIC benefits can visit our STEM labs, museums, and science centers for free. We're building, by the way, a new Children's Technology Center in Lehigh, where the next generation can explore the tech shaping Utah's future in industries like aerospace and energy and biotech and fintech. So I guess it's true. Thanksgiving Point is where curious kids grow.
Thanksgiving Point welcomes more than 1.5 million visitors each year, but its greatest impact is inspiring Utah's next generation of innovators, problem solvers, and leaders. Learn more by visiting thanksgivingpoint.org. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, it's like you said, Jim, there's some pretty exciting news coming out of the Davis School District. Their superintendent has received the award for Utah Superintendent of the Year.
That's exactly right. The Utah Superintendents Association honored Dr. Daniel Linford with its annual Superintendent of the Year award. The award recognizes outstanding leaders in public education. Association members selected Dr. Linford for his strong leadership and his commitment to mentoring and developing other education leaders, not only in Davis County, but around the state.
Apparently, Dr. Linford has served as the superintendent of Davis School District since 2022. He oversees 94 schools. That's a big district.
Yeah.
70,000 students. huge district, and roughly 15,000 employees.
Yeah, so this opens the door for him to be recognized at the national level. He'll have opportunities to speak about public education at conferences across the country, and I think he'll represent Utah well.
Yeah, I think so too. Dr. Linford did give a lot of his credit for this award, of course, as you might expect, to some of the fellow employees.
It's this award that is completely given on the back of all the work of our employees and the success of our district. This is an award that's really about teachers in classrooms making me look good to other superintendents. And I think about the superintendents who elected me to this. Everything I learned about doing it right, I learned from those guys.
Yeah, good for him. He also said that despite any issues, he still thinks public education is essential for growth and future of our country, and he's absolutely right.
Public education, I think, is a foundational institution there. I truly believe America is America because we educate our populace. We were the first ones to say, let's educate everyone. Let's make sure everyone has every opportunity. And we've been doing that for 250 plus years. And I'm passionate about it. I believe that with my whole heart. And, the work I do is meaningful because it's about children and it's about their tomorrow and what they hope for. And my job is to do everything I can to help them achieve that.
Most of the people that I know that become educators, or at least I should say superintendents, principals, other things, start out as educators. I mean, it's a career. They want to work in the education community. They study to be educators. They teach whatever they teach.
They want the big money is what they want, right?
Yeah, right.
In public education.
Yeah, sure, right. But what a gift it is I still have very fond memories of my teachers, of some of the educators that I enjoyed in the Granite School District, which is where I was raised. I wish that they were alive today so I could thank some of my teachers because they were just wonderful people. And the principals and the people that sort of did what they did. You can't honor these people enough, seriously.
No, that's absolutely right. And it's just amazing. We were talking yesterday, I think Utah was ranked the number one state with being number 6 in education.
Yeah.
Utah, I think, has a proud tradition of having outstanding public education. And it's nice to see someone like Dr. Linford honored for that. And I think so many people that serve in public education, because it really is. I made the joke about big money. You don't go into education for the big money.
Right.
You go in because you care passionately about education and about service. And clearly Dr. Linford is cut out of that mold.
Utah had a reputation at some time, Jim, for not paying our teachers well. Mm-hmm. And as well as they should. And so that's what makes you appreciate these educators and people like Dr. Linford even more. We're doing a much better job now. You say Utah's 6th in education. Part of that's because we're not 48th in pay. You know what I mean? With our teachers. So you look at somebody like Linford, who's probably been an educator he's been a superintendent for 5 or 6 years. He's probably been educated for 20 or 30. So he started out at a time when it wasn't a lucrative place to work, but he loves what he does, apparently.
No, and that's just something that we don't recognize. And it's very easy. If you listened to all 3 hours today, you heard some really depressing news on different subjects, and it's easy to forget that there are just so many good people out there doing good things and making a difference.
Yeah, so good for him, Dr. Linford. Keep up the good work. You're making us look very, very good. I want to talk about something as we end the show today that we talked about yesterday, and it's haunted me a little bit, and that's the situation that occurred at the Senate with Dr. Fauci. Now, we all, at least people that are listening to this show, lived through COVID-19. I remember this situation very, very well. It changed lives. It changed everything we do, and it changed it in some ways, irreparably. If there was anything good that came out of it, there wasn't much good, but it did allow us to have other ways, like to attend court. For me, I could attend court by Zoom or WebEx or Google meetings or whatever. It was so we as a world we learned to adapt, but we also learned that this was such a unique and weird kind of virus that wasn't something we dealt with before. And so we had Dr. Fauci, who was the face of our country's response to the COVID virus, and he didn't put himself there. He didn't want to be there. He did seemingly enjoy the spotlight. He sort of took the best of it. And, I don't know why he kept an 1,100-page diary, but that diary is now being used against him in ways that I don't think he ever expected. Probably wishes he wouldn't have kept the diary. But we're looking back on that. And there was some concern because the Senate, and I'm looking at Rand Paul, thinking that he may have misled them at some point back in the early days. And the issue was, where did the virus start? Now, we're in July of 2026, so it's been pretty close to 7 years. Who cares? I mean, maybe it matters a little bit if we want to be upset at China because it started in a lab there and maybe they were being a little bit sloppy. Maybe we want to be upset at China because it happened with some bat that some human got contact with or whatever. I mean, what was important to Fauci at the time and to our medical community was, what are we going to do about it? The source was important, but once they were able to map the DNA genome or whatever it is for it and start working on a virus, we were working forward to getting it over with and getting it. I mean, I am a first responder by virtue of being an EMT with the ski patrol, so we were first in line to get vaccines. And I was standing in line. You know what I mean? When Weber State said, "Come up and get your vaccine," like, sign me up. I got the every time I've had a chance to get a booster. And by the way, I've also contracted COVID 3 times. But I guess it could have been worse without the vaccine. What I'm saying is, these doctors and these leaders did what they thought was best at the time. Apparently not so with our Senate, and I'm not blaming any particular party. Absolutely not. But to say that they're going to bring him in because they think he lied to them and put him under oath and then force him to take a really awkward position, which is damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because if he gets up there and answers questions that are at all contrary to what he said to the Senate years ago, and by the way, he's learned a lot since then, so his answers aren't going to be consistent. They're going to say, you lied under oath, we're going to prosecute you. If he doesn't answer, they're going to say, you're in contempt of Congress, and we're going to prosecute you. So there was no way for this man to win at that hearing yesterday. His attorney correctly, in my opinion, and I'm just an attorney myself, advised him to take the Fifth Amendment because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. It is incomprehensible to me as an attorney to think that a person can be prosecuted criminally for taking advantage of the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. That's what it's for. That's why it's there. That's why we have it. So you don't get prosecuted. They're saying, well, it doesn't count with the Senate committees. The heck it doesn't. I mean, if there's a chance of being prosecuted and you have the right to take the Fifth Amendment, you should take that. Sad that we had that situation. Well, speaking of sad, some folks are upset here in Salt Lake that a drug and alcohol recovery center is closing down after they learned that a liquor store might move in next door. More on that on Utah's Noon News with Maria Chaleos. Stay tuned.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock noon. Utah's Noon News starts now. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story. New court documents are shedding light on the domestic violence case that led to a large police response and the rescue of an 11-month-old in Logan. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is live with details. Eric?
Maria, according to arrest documents KSL obtained, police say 50-year-old Renan Alvarez assaulted the baby's mom before driving off with their 11-month-old son. It details what police describe as strangling, smashing phones, and thousands in damage. Investigators say the baby remained with Alvarez overnight, then demanded $6,000 to bring him back. Police arranged a meeting where the child was safely returned and Alvarez was arrested. KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says simply taking your own child isn't automatically aggravated kidnapping under Utah law.
We have a crime in Utah called custodial interference, which says that if a parent takes a child for longer than they should, out of state, they do certain things that they shouldn't do with a child, it's a crime. To make it an aggravated kidnapping, there has to be something much more serious than that.
Skorda says every case comes down to its specific facts, and prosecutors will ultimately have to prove those aggravated kidnapping allegations in court. Live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
A St. George man is behind bars after being accused of targeting children's belongings, staying in hotel rooms without paying, and causing thousands of dollars of damage. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Youth camp chaperones called police after they say they saw Enrique Ibarra hanging around the same hotel hallway as the youth group. They say they saw him trying to steal a duffel bag. St. George News reports Ibarra fled the hotel and wasn't found until the next day. Camp staff later found several keys leading to rooms authorities now believe Ibarra illegally occupied and flooded.
Ibarra was